Welcome to the race.
And the lights are out. Great start then.
The Moto2 champion steps into the team that's dominating the championship.
I'm Scott Mitchell from the race. We're here at Barcelona.
Sebas Montoya is fighting for his career.
There has to be a title assault, and anything less will be a failure.
Oh, and a spin!
Introducing UMGgaming.com. UMG is an online tournament platform who offers free-to-play ladders, prize tournaments, cash-out matches, community events, and more. UMG Gaming brings you into the action with all your favorite titles, such as Fortnite, Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, Counter-Strike, and more. Want to experience all that UMG Gaming has to offer? Sign up today and make a free account. Experience the very best in online gaming, only with UMGgaming.com.
Hello and welcome to the second round of the RaceAll-Star Esports Challenge. Last weekend was really cool, so we're going to do it again. Slightly different format. We've got new drivers, but I'm afraid you've still got me, Jack Nicholls, and luckily for you, you've got this man, Jolyon Palmer, alongside me. You enjoyed last weekend.
I loved it. It was great. Nice bit of racing action in what appears to be a lengthy off-season now. So I'm looking forward to another biggie today.
Yep, as you say, with real racing put on the side for the time being, we're going to try and bring you as much action as we can here on the race with our second round of the All-Star Esports Battle. Now, we've got some new drivers. We've got some of the same drivers. We've got Janne Simoncic, who won the last race. We've got Felix Rosenqvist, who was very impressive. But some big names actually have joined. And we've also got Jimmy Broadbent, who is so successful last time. He was fifth, I think, in one of the first heats. And look at him, there he is, just getting ready to go as we can check in on some of these races. Oh, he's racing in shorts. That's an interesting choice. Oh,
keep cool.
Yeah, he's got his label sticking out as well.
Oh, it's hot business driving.
Yeah, exactly. This is, look at this, how cool is this? This is Jann Mardenborough closer to the camera, Nick Cassidy, Super GT champion further away. It's about 2 a.m. in Japan, and they are getting ready to take part in the race. So great to have Jann Mardenborough and Nick Cassidy here, side by side in real life. Will they be side by side on the racetrack later on?
That's cool, that, isn't it? In Japan, through the night. That's hardcore.
Yeah. Nicki Thiim is also going to be joining us. He wasn't here last week, but a very successful racer in the German Porsche Carrera Cup. And this was him looking like he's driving around the Nordschleife, actually. He'll be starting his stream in 3 minutes' time or so. We've got winner of the world's fastest gamer, James Baldwin, who's going to be there. There he is, up all dressed up and ready to go. You can see he's on board. So these are all the people who are doing streams at the same time.
He's a man that's done his prep, isn't he? Gloves on, focus intense.
Meanwhile, up towards the sort of Silverstone area, we've got Abbie Eaton and Paul O'Neill. Paul O'Neill, a British touring car race winner. Abbie Eaton, W Series racer for the season coming. There is Paul O'Neill. Bit of a itchy... Oh, hello. You all right? I don't know if you can hear me. Oh, but he's giving a thumbs up anyway. But yeah, so Paul O'Neill ready to go. He didn't have the strongest run last time, but it was quite a last-minute entry. But it was still impressive from Paul O'Neill. But a slightly different format for today's racing compared to last time out. Last time out, we just had sort of the 3 heats and then a final. This time, we've got 2 races for pro drivers, 1 race for sim racers. The top 5 of those 3 will go straight through to the final, but then there will be a last chance qualifier for all the pro racers. So these are the times that they're going to come up, and it means that we'll have mostly pro racers in the grand final at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, the sim racers shone last time out, as you would expect, but it gives them a better chance for the pro racers to get into the final. Felix Rosenqvist did a great job last time out, being, I think it was 7th place in the end, wasn't he? So that's now, he's got to try and aim to get amongst those sim racers in the end here. Well,
let's have a look at the drivers that are going to be out. First of all, in this first group, in this first race. I mean, the list is huge. We've got Antonio Felix da Costa, who is going to be out there, the current Formula E Championship leader. Abbie Eaton, who we just mentioned. One driver, unfortunately, Max Verstappen, number 13. He's going to be replaced by James Headley. He's had to pull out of this race at the last minute. So James Headley, the Ginetta Juniors champion, is going to be filling in for Max Verstappen. But we've got Sebas Montoya, we've got Juan Manuel Correa, which is great to see him back. We've got Felix Rosenqvist, who was so impressive last time. And in Group 2, we've got some other new entries, including Nico Hulkenberg. That's cool.
Good to see him back. My old teammate from 2017. And yeah, good to see him back on the grid. Who else have we got in this
Alex
one? Alex Rossi, another one of my old rivals from GP2 days. I've raced against more and more of the grid. Tom Dillman there, Stoffel Van Dorn, one of my big rivals from GP2 as well. Now racing in Formula E and Mercedes Formula 1 reserve driver. So it's a very competitive grid in this second heat as well.
As for the sim racers, we've got some of the sort of big names from the F1 Esports series that you'll have seen, like Brendan Lee, for example. Sebastian Job did a bit of racing in there, although, yeah, he's out in Group 3. But we've also got the drivers who performed so well last time. Jerne Simoncic is number 14 there on the left-hand side. And he's sort of got to be the favourite, hasn't he?
From what we've seen so far, he was so good last time out. He topped his qualifying. He won his heat under a bit of pressure, and then he won the final, again, under a lot of pressure. But there's so much pressure on these guys when they're doing one-lap qualifying, and then the races are so close, the level's so high, he didn't make a mistake.
Yeah, the one-lap qualifying really is an exciting element to it, isn't it? And we're not too far away from getting underway with the first race. As I say, they will be fairly short races, and we're going to have 4 of those short races leading into the grand final. So let's just see if we can check in with Nico Hulkenberg, the former Formula 1 racer, former Le Mans winner as well. Nico, can you hear us? Whoa, there we go. I knew we would get that silence.
He's playing it cool, probably.
Yeah, exactly. He never liked me interviewing him anyway. Can you hear us now, Nico?
Oh, mate, that's not on you. That's just general.
Okay, fine. Well, we've also got Jolyon Palmer with us here in the studio. Are you looking forward to this race, Nico?
Yeah, it's a whole new thing for me. I've never done this, so kind of a virgin, excited. So yeah, I want to see what it's like.
How have you ended up here doing this? How did it come about?
Well, obviously it's all to do a little bit with the current situation, lack of activities and wanting to be in a race again, that feeling. And here I am, in Monaco. I'm actually just sitting next to start and finish line and looking onto the track, having my real race boots on. And I'm ready to go.
One of the more glamorous destinations, I imagine, than we've got out there. Nico, how's winter been?
It's been pretty cool. Quite relaxing. Obviously, took time out. did a lot of fun things that I wanted to do that previously, you know, in a Formula One world and schedule you're not able to. So
Like what?
And yeah, well, traveling to Brazil, Rio, Miami, not feeling sore every day from training camp, sleeping in more, enjoying life.
Great. Well, best of luck for the race. Thank you very much for talking to us, Nico. Have fun.
Thanks.
Right, so you can keep across everything that the race brings you using the handle at @WeAreTheRace. That's where you can keep up to date with all the esports stuff that we've got going on and the stuff that we've also got going on in the real world of motorsport for whatever happens there. Now, one of the races that we've got coming out later, there you go, at @WeAreTheRace on Twitter and Instagram. One of the races we're going to be seeing is James Baldwin, who is the winner of the World's Fastest Gamer last year, and now this year, we have some big news. The race gets underway. Down into turn one, everybody goes firing in. Super late.
It's a mental game. It's about staying calm, staying focused.
I was like, wow, don't do anything stupid because my life could be in danger.
We've got the best gamers in the world. We're trying to find the guy who can race to the top in a real car.
We are not in a video game anymore. It's a real racetrack and it's dangerous.
I think I have the ability to be a real racing driver.
It's a one-time opportunity that you'll never forget.
So you heard it here first. The World's Fastest Gamer, the third iteration of that competition, will begin soon. You can download the Gear Club app for iOS and Android. That's how you get involved and get started in the initial selection process. There was a guy called Riley last year who downloaded it on iPad, had never driven a real car in his life, and almost made the final. So Gear Club is the place to go for the World's Fastest Gamer competition, and we'll see Rudy Van Buren racing later on, who was very impressive and won that. James Baldwin, the second winner of that. But now we can speak to a real-life racing legend. Tony Kanaan is standing by, getting ready to go. Tony, how are you doing?
I'm good. Here in the house, can't get away, so decide to do this race.
Okay. Do you have a lot of experience with this online stuff?
Zero. I just got my my thing. Sorry, I can hear myself in the back. It's confusing the hell out of me. I just got my simulator 2 days ago, so this is I've been spending a lot of time here. The wife is not very happy, but I'm trying. I mean, I'm gonna be a rookie. I know I'm still struggling with the brakes, a little bit with the throttle. I know there's a couple tricks. The guys are trying to help me. I was talking to Montoya. But we'll see. I mean, we'll give it a crack.
Okay, cool. Best of luck. Thanks for joining us, Tony. Have fun.
Thanks, guys.
So great, Tony Kanaan on the phone, on the team speak. That's great.
Legend, one of the legendary names we got on, but there's so many this time. I mean, there was a lot already last week. We've gone even more this time. Tony Kanaan, new entry. He's saying he's a bit sort of inexperienced in sim racing, I should say, rather than real racing, but he's sort of grown up in American racing, and we're racing in Indianapolis. So maybe some tricks of the track.
Yeah, absolutely. The Indianapolis road course is where we're going to see these cars race, and qualifying will be getting underway in just a couple of minutes' time. Before it does, let's check in with René Butler. You may have heard his voice last week, but I think we're about to see his face, so prepare yourself, guys. René is our sim racing expert. There's the face, and what a cool T-shirt. Do you live in Germany?
Had to happen, right?
Yeah, exactly. What are you looking for from this event? An even bigger grid, even more impressive grid.
I mean, I'm super happy that we actually returned for round 2. We got a great grid once again, also on the sim side. And I have to say, we were checking practice a bit earlier today before we headed into the show, and I saw some names up there on the leaderboard. Felix Rosenqvist was really quick, but also Kevin Siggy on the sim side was really impressive. We got Aurélien Mallet, who normally is a Forza pro, now joining us here on rFactor 2 in the All-Star battle. So there are new names in it, new possibilities for everyone, and to make a name on the sim racing side of things. Looking forward to that.
So do you think the final is going to be, well, it's obviously going to be mostly real races, but if you had to pick, there's only 5 sim racers that are going to be in that final, really?
I guess the easy bet's always Simičić and Kevin Siggy right now because his pace is really good. I would say Risto Capet normally, but he seems a bit off pace currently, also in the GT Pro Series that he's a part of, so I'm not sure how good he is right now. In addition to that, I would probably put Brendan Lee on it.
Okay, interesting. Your speakers turned up really loud, Rene.
No, the only problem is I actually hear the rest of all the cameras.
Yeah. No, I'm hearing that too. I didn't know if that was coming from you, but it's fine. Do you have any questions for Rene? Have you driven the Nürburgring today?
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's closed. It's closed until further notice. Just like everything else in the world.
Really?
Are you feeling not very warmed up then? Because last time you got excited, you warmed up driving the Nürburgring.
Yeah,
you're missing a bit of buzz from
you
your day.
need a couple of laps of Indianapolis, don't you, this morning?
Yeah, this time I had an absolutely normal morning. Getting up, missing breakfast because you have so much work on the table, getting this event underway. So yeah, just no racing, no driving today other than sim racing.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Rene. Qualifying is underway. You'll be hearing from Rene over the course of the day, basically over the course of the afternoon, but qualifying is underway for our first group of drivers at the Indianapolis road course. We've got a load of drivers heading out onto the circuit, so this is a private qualifying session. This is Felix Rosenqvist that we're looking at first of all. Now, they're not in the F1 cars from last time. They're out in basically some road to Indy 500 cars from a couple of years ago, sort of Formula Renault, Formula 4 kind of speed.
Yeah, stark contrast in circuit and in car. So that's why I think Jurne Simičić won last time. This is so different, really, in all ways. Indianapolis, a track that's not used by most people outside of America, and we see Rosenqvist coming around the banking, fairly unique to this circuit as well, to launch into a flying lap. But yeah, very, very different. And the car's so much slower on the straight. Should give us better racing, I think. The slipstream effect will be higher, but for now, all about doing one very quick lap.
So here comes Rosenqvist then, down into turn 1, through the right-hander, and then the left. A slightly different circuit this as well. If those of you who haven't seen the Indianapolis road course since the Formula 1 days of 2007 or 8, I think, was the last Indianapolis race. It is slightly different. So we now kink left at turn 7 and then out onto this straight. Sorry, this is the run from 6 down to 7, which is still the same. And this is going to be one of the overtaking opportunities, I think.
Yeah, short back straight. I think the main overtaking opportunity is going to be into turn 1. Huge long straight. Remember Hamilton and Alonso going wheel to wheel there in 07 in the McLaren. Well, that's going to be a critical overtaking place. But now we're into the sort of, you had the back straight you talked about, and now there's a few corners all coming up in a row that leads on to this huge long straight with some curves in it.
So here they come. Felix Rosenqvist through the right and the left, onto the banking a little bit, and then dropping back out. It's the Pro Mazda cars, these ones, the Indy Pro 2000s that we're using here on rFactor 2. Rosenqvist about to come across the line.
Yeah, so you got one straight out of turn 10 and then another one out of turn 14 that Rosenqvist's on now to complete a lap. 1 minute 19.5, which is 0.6 quicker than James Davison.
Okay, so Rosenqvist, the first driver across the line. Here comes Dani Juncadella, former Euro Series Formula 3 champion, and Juncadella goes into second place, 0.02 of a second away from Felix Rosenqvist. So a good lap there from Juncadella, the Spanish driver. James Baldwin goes third, so 1/10 of a second away from Rosenqvist. Ross Gunn has gone 6th, Costa's gone 7th, Smith is 8th, Dries Vanthoor's not had a good run. He's down in 9th place. 10th is Sebas Montoya. We haven't seen Juan Pablo Montoya yet. And now we've got Nelson Piquet Jnr. out in the Brazilian colours.
Looks like his A1 GP car of 2005, that does. That's memories. But let's see what he can do. He didn't race last time either. now sweeping through on the run, right on the different side of the track to Rosenqvist crossing the line. Rosenqvist minimising distance to go P1, Piquet maximising to go P14. But remember, down on track time compared to the others.
Yeah, 2.6 seconds off the pace in the end there. Here comes Jimmy Broadbent across the line. Where's he going to slot in here? He goes up into 11th place. Solid effort that from Jimmy Broadbent, 1.2 seconds away from the lap time of Felix Rosenqvist. We've still got times to come from Jani, Correa, Eaton and Headley of the 19 drivers that are going to be in this race. As Jimmy Broadbent then into 11th position. Jani goes up into 12th position. Headley goes 4.8 seconds off. And that means that I think it's just Correa and Abbie Eaton left to come across the line. Here comes Abbie Eaton, and she goes 18th, 7 seconds off the pace there for Abbie Eaton. So I don't know if there was a mistake on her lap or whether that was just a relative lack of running time for Eaton. But she goes into 18th place, and Juan Manuel Correa is just coming out of the final corner now through the banking and into the right-hander. No, he's not. He's a little bit earlier on in the lap, isn't he? He's just coming through the third sector. But Rosenqvist looks as though he's done it straight out the blocks.
Yeah, very impressed by Juncadella, though. I said earlier on how good Rosenqvist was, but Juncadella has pretty much just matched in there. 200ths between them, and they're both ahead of James Baldwin as Juan Manuel Correa goes 17th. Great to see him back racing, Juan Manuel Correa.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. He's using both throttle and brake with his left leg after his right leg injured so badly in that accident at Spa earlier this summer. So Felix Rosenqvist then, the Swede, is going to be on pole position, but only 200ths quicker than Juncadella. James Davison is in 5th place. Wolfgang Reip is in 4th. We didn't see much of Wolfgang in the last race 6 days ago, but he is a former winner of the Nissan GT Academy, and I've commentated on him in real life. I think winning the Blancpain Endurance Series Pro-Am class, I think a few years ago. So there we go. Jimmy, not last, says Matthias Hansen, and you're very correct. So we've now got a minute of warm-up before the race gets underway. This is going to be a tight one, you know.
This is going to be super tight, and the overtaking is what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
Nürburgring last time in a Formula 1 car. The track, I think Renault would argue, is not quite as good as the full Nordschleife, but it's a Formula 1 track in Formula 1 cars. But the overtaking wasn't vintage, to be honest. There was some nice moves, but here I'm expecting it to be a little more chaotic. The huge straights, reasonable braking zone still at the end of them, and of course being in the lesser powered cars means you're on those straights for longer. The slipstream effect is bigger, and one lap is one thing, but when you're doing a race length and you've got to overtake and defend, it's going to become a lot harder for the likes of Felix Rosenqvist and Dani Juncadella at the front.
Magnus Dellen points out that Rosenqvist had pole here in IndyCar last year. I was not aware of that fact. Thank you, Magnus, on the YouTube chat. Thanks also to Blanks Racing, who says, "We love you, Jolien and Jack."
Well, thank you very much. There was a cracking IndyCar race. I'm sure I watched it last year. It was like wet drying.
Really?
And I don't actually remember if Felix Rosenqvist won it, but it was one of the few that I managed to catch last year. And this track can throw up good races. It's not the most atmospheric when it's not the full oval.
Yeah.
But Formula 1 never went down a treat here, particularly after 2005. But in terms of racing, you do have long straights, and you do have a great recipe for overtaking.
So we are just, seconds away from heading towards the race. Here they go now, and we're about to get going then for the first round. Now, the way this works is the 1st to 5th go through to the final. So Rosenqvist on pole, Juncadella 2nd, James Baldwin 3rd, Wolfgang Reip is in 4th position, and then 5th we've got James Davison. So if it finished how it started, those top 5 would progress through to the final. We've got Bradley Smith in 6th position. Ross Gunn is in 7th position. Antonio Felix da Costa in 9th place. Nick Cassidy completing the top 10. Then Dries Vanthoor in 11th. Sebas Montoya is in 12th position on the grid. Behind them in 13th, we've got Jimmy Broadbent, not last. He's out-qualified Nick de Vries, the Formula 2 reigning champion. Devlin De Francesco is in 15th position. Nelson Piquet Jnr. is in 16th spot. 17th is Juan Manuel Correa. James Headley is in 18th place. And Abbie Eaton is at the back of the grid in 19th position as we wait for the race to get underway. And MDH Game says Pagenaud won the race, Dixon second, Harvey was third in the IndyCar race last year. So thank you for all of those. Here we go then. The first heat of the race round 2 All-Star Esports Challenge is underway. Looks like it's a pretty decent start from Rosenqvist. He covers the inside as they come down towards the first corner. Juncadella is getting involved in the fight as they start to spread out into turn 1. How safe are we going to be into this first corner? A little bit of a nudge, I think, in the back of Rosenqvist, but he manages to keep on the road with Juncadella still in second, Baldwin third, Reip third, Davison fifth. So no change in the top 5 positions after the first couple of corners. Up in the top right, we're on board with Juncadella as he tries to chase Rosenqvist down on the opening lap.
Yeah, they all just about got away with that at the front and in the same position. So Juncadella did well to hold on behind Rosenqvist. Just gave him a little tap through the apex of turn 1. But no harm done, I don't think there. Little lunge from Baldwin. Didn't go for it on the corner at the end of the back straight, turn 7. And now it's a little bit more twisty before it opens up down to the new turn 12, right-left, sort of elongated chicane.
I'm afraid Jimmy Broadbent got a hit early on, and that's why he's dropped to the back of the field, down in 16th position. But Rosenqvist it is, in the green car, who leads the way with the dark blue machine of Juncadella in second place, the lighter blue car of James Baldwin in third. Wolfgang Reip is in fourth in the red car. Then it's James Davison, the IndyCar racer. Ross Gunn, former British GT champion, as they come out onto the start-finish straight again, and you can see Rosenqvist hugging the pit wall there as they come down into the first corner.
Just got to look at the slipstream effect then, this long straight down towards the first corner, and this time Juncadella is not close enough for a lunge. Closed in a little bit, but still not quite enough. Look at him, right, attacking that right-hander of turn 1 though. He gets so close there. He did hit the back of Rosenqvist, just gently, a tap you'd call it, on lap 1. This time just really deep on the brakes, but that's encouraging because if he gets close enough, he knows that he's maybe a bit later on the brakes than Felix there.
There's a yellow flag out there in sector 1. We'll try and figure out who that has come for. De Francesco's just dropped back a little bit.
I think Piquet's dropped to the back. I think he had made some places.
Here's Neel Jani in 9th position, looking to the inside here. Jani trying to get past Smith. They bang wheels. Bradley Smith's on the grass, and Neel Jani is through. Robust move from the 2016 Le Mans winner.
Robust move, but a good move, I'd say. And that Smith's got to watch out because he's got Antonio Felix da Costa right behind him. He's in good company there, Bradley Smith, and he's just about hanging on. But that's now 9th place. Good move from Jani. Aggressive, assertive, and to be honest, Smith turned in a little bit when Jani was already committed there.
Ooh, late in the brakes there. Oh, and a spin for Jani. Jani spun seemingly all by himself, and now Da Costa tries to take advantage. Da Costa's in the purple car, trying to pass Bradley Smith in the blue car, but he can't quite get the job done. A real shame there for Neel Jani, who was relatively new, to be honest, to this sim racing lark before the last race. And now Bradley Smith having to defend. We're on board with Da Costa. Oh, finds the inside line, almost bangs the pit wall. Tried to sell him the dummy. Can he get the job done on the brakes? Yes, he can.
Has he got front right suspension left? I think he did whack the pit wall, didn't he? As he just jinked out to the inside. Bradley Smith thought he had covered that off, and Da Costa just kept going. Maybe too far, but it looks like he's got away with it. The car's still intact, and he's got the place, and he's got that one from Jani as well, who will be kicking himself. Look at that space now behind Bradley Smith that Jani's fallen down into in 12th place.
So, leading the race is Felix Rosenqvist still, 0.4 of a second ahead of Juncadella. Still Bradley Smith and Antonio Felix da Costa go side by side over 8th position, but they don't want to lose grip too much of the cars in front because, oh, that's a lovely switchback from Smith. Can he get that job done? Yes, he can.
What a move! That's phenomenal. I was nearly speechless at that move from Bradley Smith. There's no way Da Costa saw that coming. But now the slipstream effect, he's going to have another look at the outside.
The replay you're seeing at the top right is, oh, and a big moment for Smith, and that allows Da Costa to get through. You just saw the replay of Jani spinning up in the top right, but this battle continues, and Da Costa now back in front.
Yeah, Smith almost did the same thing there as Jani, just drop it a little bit wide on the right-hander at turn 12. But now here they go again. Da Costa, bit of a weave there to the inside. Now holds his line, needs to keep that inside, and Smith to the outside. Can he get it done?
Late on the brakes, but Da Costa has the inside line and holds on to the position for the time being. Rosenqvist still leading, 0.7 of a second ahead of Juncadella. Baldwin second back in third position, but that Bradley Smith-De Costa fight was very entertaining for a while, but they're now 3 seconds behind Dries Vanthoor up in front.
Yeah, they're costing themselves time. Remember, the top 5 go through to the final straight away from this heat, and Ross Gunn has got up to 5th place, and James Davis is dropping down behind now Dries Vanthoor as well. So that 5th place is the one that's up for grabs. Ross Gunn there making a move because he started behind Davison, who's just dropped behind Vanthoor now to 7th.
I should point out to you all getting excited on the YouTube chat, this is Bradley Smith, radical racer and former karting rival of Jolyon Palmer. This isn't the motorbike rider Bradley Smith. So it isn't that one, I'm afraid to say.
They'll all know him from the karting rival of Jolyon Palmer.
Yeah,
isn't that the more famous one?
I would say so. And De Costa's on the grass and Smith is back through. We were just having a little look at the race leader Rosenqvist, but now they've swapped places back again. Antonio Felix Da Costa down into 9th position.
And he's dropping away from that slipstream as well now, nearly a second behind Bradley Smith. Great fight between the two of them. They're not doing themselves any favours in the grander scheme to try and get in the top 5, replaying the top corner of where he went a bit wide there and lost some ground, but nice little fight between them.
Lap 5 of 10.
Look how close it is at the front.
Yeah, only half a second between Rosenqvist out front, Juncadella in second, Baldwin in third, Reip in fourth, Gunn in fifth. The top 5 covered by just 4 seconds, so it's very, very tight up there as Da Costa comes down into the left-hander of turn 7 at the end of the short back straight. And some of you want to know who punted Jimmer. I believe it was Nelson Piquet Jnr. is the story. Here's Nick Cassidy, the Super GT champion. He is right up behind Abbie Eaton, and he's going to, nearly lose it as he tries to go around the outside of Abbie Eaton, down into the left-hander of turn 7, but Eaton gets it stopped, hold the position for the moment, but then Cassidy tries to get the cut back, can't do it just yet. Abbie Eaton fairly late in the day, not a huge amount of practice for this competition, but she's here, and I think she's going to get passed by Nick Cassidy in a moment as they come out onto the banking. On board with Cassidy in the top right, gets the switchback, and spins it.
Yeah, not the switchback he was hoping for, I don't think, there for Nick Cassidy.
Juan Manuel Correa was off as well. You just saw a car on the grass. That was Correa, so he's dropped down the order to 17th place.
Great racing action, though. Yeah. Already we're seeing closer fighting down the order than at the Nürburgring. Different style of racing this time. Low-powered cars, long straights, and some good action through the midfield. At the front, it's still so close. Rosenqvist gap to Juncadella, just dropping a fraction below 4/10, but it's around that point. And James Baldwin's still there as well. But remember, all they've got to do is get in the top 5, and they'll be good to go through to the final.
So we have got Jimmy Broadbent that we're watching here. You can see his onboard in the top right. You can also see his live stream down in the bottom left. So Jimmy doing his own live stream for this one as he comes into the left-hander. Down at turn 7, then into 8 and 9. And as you say, it's the top 5 that go straight through to the final, but everybody else gets another race in the last chance qualifier, so it's not over for all the others. James Davison has lost places, hasn't he? He was in 5th position, he's now dropped down to 7th, so that means Ross Gunn is promoted up into 5th spot and into the final qualifying position as it stands, but it's so close up at the front, only 7/10 between Rosenqvist, Juncadella and Baldwin, although none of them are making a move just yet.
No, but they don't need to risk it right now, as you say, just about getting the top 5. Davison's the loser from the top bunch, the top half really, qualifying inside the top 5, dropping down to 7th, and he's dropping away from Dries Vanthoor as well. So did he maybe overachieve in qualifying, and now his relative pace is dropping back? Did the likes of Ross Gunn and Dries Vanthoor not quite hook it up, and now they're putting it together better in the race, which is going to pay off at the moment for Ross Gunn because he's got a 2.5 back to Vanthoor.
Lap 7 of 10. Tom Parker has said, Jack, get back to testing. Tom, I will when you find me a seat, because I'm trying to get a drive in one of these championships. But
are you? Are you on the market?
Yeah, I'm on the market. If anyone that needs a driver for the Grand Prix Virtual World Championship Formula Challenge race in Turkey in 2 weeks' time, I'm available.
But if you want to win,
don't
get in touch.
Exactly. Here are the top 3. Felix Rosenqvist ahead of Dani Juncadella in 2nd place, and James Baldwin in 3rd. We're on board with Baldwin in the top right as we come down in towards turn 1, and Rosenqvist every time just covers the inside, but Juncadella is not quite close enough to make a move, but we're already seeing the cars can stay a lot closer than the Formula 1 cars we saw last week.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. He's so close, Juncadella, that Rosenqvist is having to defend the inside line because he can't afford to give the Spaniard a sniff just behind him. Again, the top 5 is all he needs, but a spin for Juncadella, and Vanthoor's only 7 seconds back. That could cost him the place in the final. They've got another chance in a sort of loser's heat coming up, but these guys want to make it through immediately.
Dries Vanthoor's doing a good job, actually. He's actually climbed up the order into 6th place. I think he qualified in 11th position, so good effort from the 21-year-old Belgian. His house overlooks turn 3 at Zolder. There you go. There's your fact of the day.
Is that competing with Nico Hulkenberg's? Overlooking the start finish in Monaco.
Yeah, I think we know the winner. Zolder's cool, but
Zolder's nice.
It's not Monaco, is it? Lap 8 of 10. Have you been to Zolder?
I've raced at Zolder.
In what?
FIA Formula 2 2010. A couple of second place finishes.
Oh, I didn't know he went to Zolder.
Didn't get a win, but it was close.
Rosenqvist leading then as they come out to start the penultimate lap of the race. Lap 9 of 10 now, with Rosenqvist leading. Juncadella second. Third is James Baldwin, the winner of the world's fastest gamer. And the third iteration of World's Fastest Gamer is coming soon, so make sure you download Gear Club and get involved in that. Now, has Juncadella made a bit of a mistake there?
He fires in a lot of speed into turn 1 every time, and this time it looked like a little bit too much, which has left Baldwin right behind him, and they're about to break onto the back straight. But we'll see if Baldwin goes for the move or if he just doesn't want to risk it right now, so late in the race and so close to that place in the final.
He's very close, and in fact, he's looking to the inside. The battle for second place. Here comes James Baldwin up the inside. Can he get it? Oh, they're both on the grass. They're skimming across the grass now. And can they get back on time and recover? Juncadella comes back on just about in front still of James Baldwin. There's Baldwin's feet in the bottom left, so we're almost seeing a replay there because of the little bit of a delay. But that was stressful times for both of them, and now Baldwin's going to have another go, surely.
Yeah, it's not finished yet. Juncadella again with him right behind. Probably turned in a little bit on James Baldwin for that move before. Didn't give Baldwin a lot of space, and well, that led to then Baldwin running really wide on the exit. So probably you say 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They've not lost because they're still second and third, but Rosenqvist will surely win the race now with a 2-second gap. Here we go, look at this.
Battle for second place on. Rosenqvist starts the final lap, but who's going to finish in second place? Baldwin gets ahead as they come down into turn 1, but then they try and swap back positions into the first corner, and they've overshot it. No, they both stay on the circuit side by side, giving each other room. We're on board with James Baldwin here. This is some great racing up into the right-hander of turn 4, and Baldwin has second place for the time being. All of this is allowing the red car of Wolfgang Reip to come in and join the fight as we come down into 7.
This is not done. Juncadella now just behind Baldwin, who sticks right on that white line to the inside, down towards turn 7. Same place they touched last lap. This time it looks like Baldwin's got a little bit safer on the inside. Still so close though, through now the right-hander of 8. Then these next 2 corners come up quickly, and we're on to the longer runs to 12 at the end.
So Wolfgang Reip is joining the party. Also just behind them is Ross Gunn. They are still currently the top 5 that would progress straight through to the final. Felix Rosenqvist is still the man up in front, but it looks as though Juncadella really wants to get that second position, doesn't he, as they come into the left-hander now of turn 13. Just one more corner to go, and here comes Felix Rosenqvist. He was the class of the field of the pro drivers 1 week ago, and he started this weekend with a win in Heat 1. Very impressive stuff from Felix Rosenqvist. Second across the line is Baldwin. It is Baldwin by 0.05 of a second. So close between Baldwin and Juncadella. Wolfgang Reip in 4th, 5th for Ross Gunn. That was some great racing though, some great side-by-side stuff.
Is that what 500s looks like? I thought that might be 5,000s. I couldn't separate them at all across the line. But that was super racing between Juncadella. They were side by side for half of that last lap. Really incredible. They had contact the lap before. That didn't put them off giving it a good go. And they certainly did. And they're both through to the final. So we've got more of that to see. Ross Gunn taking 5th place as well with Wolfgang Reip. They're the ones that move through.
Yep, so Rosenqvist, Baldwin, Juncadella, Reip and Gunn progress. Dries Vanthoor misses out. James Davison misses out for the moment. Anyway, Bradley Smith, Antonio Felix da Costa. Neel Jani managed to get back up into 10th position in the end there, which was a good performance from the Swiss racer after his early spin.
Yeah, he could be a threat for the next heat that he's going to take part in, really.
Yeah.
Those that don't already go through have another chance. And Jani has some pace, but he had that spin on lap 1, I think it was, when he was just getting towards the back of the top 5.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Felix Rosenqvist, though, well, in the end, a 4-second winning margin flattered him a little bit.
Well, yes. It was 2/10 until the two behind him had a little coming together. He was defending most laps down into turn 1, and 4 seconds is a cruise in this world. But no, he had his work cut out with Juncadella, Baldwin right behind him. The slipstream, I think, is really effective at not allowing the lead car to go away. Once that gap emerges, it seems harder to close in. And once Baldwin and Juncadella had a little clash, then Felix had a nice breeze to the flag.
So the top 5 here go through to the final. Felix Rosenqvist, James Baldwin, Dani Juncadella, Wolfgang Reip and Ross Gunn. They all go straight through. Dries Vanthoor missing out, as well as Davison Smith, the Costa and Jani, the top 10. Sebastian Montoya in 11th place. He'll go again, as will Jimmy Broadbent. Nick De Vries slipped back in the order. He ended up in 13th place ahead of Nick Cassidy, Abbie Eaton towards the back. But it's those top 5 that advance straight through to the final, and we will be bringing you that a little bit later on. And next up, we're going to be moving into Heat 2 before too long, in which Nico Hulkenberg will be getting ready to go in, and the likes of Alex Rossi, the likes of the 2008 British Formula 3 champion Adam Christodoulou, Esteban Gutierrez as well. He's another newcomer to the All-Star Esports sim race.
Yep, another man I spent years racing, and him and Stoffel Van Dorn, both newcomers to this one at least. So it's a really highly contested race that we've just had, and a really highly contested race we're about to have as well.
What were you racing Gutierrez in GP2?
Yeah, GP2 for a couple of years, Formula 1 for a year,
Yeah.
2016. Wasn't particularly successful for either, but we raced nonetheless.
Indeed. So we're having the second race is due to get underway, well, sort of as soon as possible, really. It's due to be getting underway in a couple of moments, the qualifying session. And I agree with Tom Corral, actually. He says on the YouTube chat, it would have been nice to see what Jimmer could do. He got punted out 3 times in 2 laps at the start, and I think that's true.
Well, we've got a chance, haven't we? He's got another race coming up where he's got I think the qualifying was crucial. He qualified kind of not last, but that's right down where the melee sort of kicked off towards the back of the field. So if he qualifies better, he's got a better chance to steer clear of that, and we can see what he can do.
Paul McGuinness says 2020 is the year of esports. It's great to watch these championships, great coverage and commentary as well. But thank you very much for that.
I think I'm going to stop at that bit there.
Yeah. John Anders says, hey, commentators, when are you going to do this? As in race, John?
Oh, this is the commentators' race that we were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
But you've been giving it the big one about how you want to get signed up. You're backing yourself at this commentators' race.
I would be better than you at the commentators' race. I would be.
You're having a laugh.
No,
You're having a laugh,
I would be
son.
better than you on rFactor 2.
Nah.
Blanks
It's got to
Racing,
happen now, hasn't it?
Blanks Racing wants to know, Jolien, would you give sim racing a go?
I'll take on Nichols. I'll take you on, absolutely.
Okay.
You can't lose at that rate.
Okay. James Baldwin did a good job in that race as well, didn't he? When you consider he's in there with all the pros, he's the winner of World's Fastest Gamer, he's got to be in contention for the final.
Absolutely. To be honest, he was right there with Rosenqvist, Juncadella. The 3 of them looked the class act. We've got to see what is coming around the corner in Heat 2 and 3, but really few mistakes apart from the time they came together fighting for position for second.
Alexandra Pacini says, Palmer, any review video post-race?
Yeah, I tell you what, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah. Oh, Sam Collins now is getting involved. He says, commentators race, bring it, Sam Collins. Is he still at Race Car Engineering? Sorry, Sam, I'm not sure.
I think he might be.
I think he is. Yeah. And Gabriele Gonzalez says, I'd root for Jack. Sorry, Jolien.
Come on.
Stuart Riddell says, Jack, where's Dario? Don't know. I don't know where Dario is today. Last week, he
was dialing in, wasn't he?
He did actually go up the next day. Last week, he texted me saying, I'm going up to Darren Turner's simulator place tomorrow to have a go. And he did. He actually did.
Was he quick?
I don't know, actually. I don't actually know. Uzair Syed says, Jolien, you are the best analyst ever.
Thank you.
There we go. Right, so before too long, we'll be getting underway with our next group of pro racers. So Alexander Rossi, the 2017 Indy 500 winner. Esteban Gutierrez, as we've said. Juan Pablo Montoya. Before we came on air, we were just watching back Juan Pablo Montoya videos on YouTube. In fact, thinking about it, we go to all, we do a lot of Formula One races together. We do all the Formula One races together, Joe and I. And we spend a lot of time on YouTube watching Juan Pablo Montoya videos. That's fair to say, isn't it? No, come on. You're always like, oh, what about this one? What about this one?
Sure.
Okay. It's true.
Oh, but now we're excited about commentating on him.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, absolutely. He was one of my racing legends growing up. Yeah. Always the guy to go for a move if there was a move to be had, wasn't he? So, I mean, by that token, there's sure to be fireworks in this next heat.
Absolutely. So remember to follow @WeAreTheRace on Instagram and on Twitter to keep up to date with everything that's happening in esports and also in real life racing when that gets back underway. Now, the next race we're coming up is going to be the second heat. So we've basically got 3 heats and then a last chance qualifier. This second heat is the Pro Driver Race 2, due to get underway any moment now. And that is going to be another 10-lap race. Then we've got the Sim Driver race, and the top 5 of those go through to the grand final. So 5 from race 1, 5 from race 2, 5 from the Sim Driver race, and then 5 from the last chance qualifier, which will be all the pro drivers that didn't make it out, will be getting in the grand final in about an hour and 10 minutes time. So Group 2, the qualifying session is underway. Adam Christodoulou, Alexander Rossi, Callum Ilot, Formula 2 racer, Esteban Gutierrez, former Formula 1 racer, Philip Eng, who I want to say won
Formula 2. FIA Formula 2
champion?
race. No. Race winner.
Yeah.
Multiple race winner.
I think he was a championship challenger, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Absolutely. Robert Wickens ran it in the first season.
No, Andy Soucek won it from Robert Wickens, but he was a championship challenger second season, Philip Eng. I think he finished 3rd.
Max Günther is out as well, the young German who kind of got into it last minute a week ago. BMW sort of got him on board as he's the BMW Formula E driver, and he really enjoyed it, and now he's back here, Max Günther. Nicki Thiim, Paul O'Neill, Rudy Van Buren, Stoffel Van Dorn. A huge, impressive grid of drivers. I mean, if this were some endurance grid, people would be losing their minds over the strength and the depth.
Oh, I think we're losing our minds over the strength and the depth of this this race grid. Well, the whole evening of grids, the 3 that we've got, Heat 2 now, and it's just as competitive as the last. Van Dorn, Hulkenberg, Gutierrez, the 3 that raced in Formula 1, Alex Rossi, 4 that raced in Formula 1, but there's many more that we're nearly or could still be as well. There's such a depth of quality across the first 2 of the pro drivers, the first 2 heats that are pro drivers, and then of course the sim drivers later on that will be quality enough. I'm sure we'll witness that later.
So we've got Max Günther, the 22-year-old, out on track, coming down to the left-hander of turn 7.
I forgot Montoya when I was talking about XF1 drivers as well, of course. 5. Probably more.
I'm just trying to look. I'm sure, Philip Eng won the Porsche Super Cup in 2015. That's what I was thinking of as his recent championship win. Spent last year racing in the DTM, finished 6th in the standings there, as well as a little bit of running in the sports cars championship over in America.
Very quick driver.
Yeah.
Slightly crazy guy.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Good fun.
Okay. Oh, in a good way?
Yeah. Of course.
Okay. So across the line comes Max Günther, and he is the first driver to set a lap time then, a 1:20.180. Now, Rosenqvist's time in the first qualifying was a 19.5, I think I want to say, or 19.4.
I thought it was a 19.4.
4. And
19.8 from Van Dorn. That's the new benchmark here. The time's just flood in so quickly. Van Dorn, though, that's pretty quick from him.
Nicki Thiim across the line, and he goes into second place, just 2 tenths away from Stoffel Van Dorn. Here's Tom Dillman, the former Formula E racer and GP2 race winner, and he goes to the top. 300ths quicker than Stoffel Van Dorn, and now Rudy Van Buren to the top, a 10th of a second ahead of Tom Dillman as the lap times fly in. So Van Buren to the top of the times. Here's Johnny Adam, former British GT champion in the Beechdene Aston Martin, and an Aston Martin works driver now, I think, as he comes across the line. Johnny Adam, the Scotsman, goes 13th. Hulkenberg, has he made a mistake there? 20 seconds.
I would say that's probably a mistake and not a lack of talent there on Hulkenberg's behalf, but 20 seconds will mean that he starts plumb last for this one.
Yeah, the last driver to cross the line, or is that all of them? I think that might be... Oh no, Tony Kanaan is still out there. Another racing legend, but it looks as though Rudy Van Buren is going to be the man that will start on pole position. 3/10 covering the top 4, 6/10 covering the top 8. Very impressive stuff. Nicki Thiim has managed to get up there as well. Tony Kanaan is just starting his flying lap now. So we'll see what Kanaan can do as he comes through the first corner. But Rudy Van Buren would have been many people's favourites, really, for pole position. Because he's in the pro racers class. He raced at the what's it called? The thing where they all get together, Race of Champions. He did some racing at the Race of Champions, I think, as part of all of that, and now trying to get into real racing, but he started his career in sim racing.
And he's rapid at it, as proven by his pole position for now, unless Tony Kanaan can shock the establishment with a late lap. Dillman, though, again, really impressed with him and Stoffel Van Dorn, but Dillman, a late addition, and Van Dorn as well, didn't race last week, and they're both within a couple of tenths of Van Buren.
So it is going to be Rudy Van Buren on pole position. It is Nico Hulkenberg's first time sim racing, we should point out. I'm not sure Tony Kanaan got a lap in there, actually. Paul O'Neill is in 19th place, but Van Buren on pole position. The race will be getting underway in about a minute or two's time, and it's the top 5 that will advance through. Someone asked, I missed it, but any memories of Stoffel Van Dorn, Jolien, the man with the most points in GP2 history?
Oh, taking my record. Pointed. That was very pointed of you. But he was so quick in GP2. And I'm the only man to have ever beaten him in that category. So there you go. But no, super quick. And he's showing it right now, 3rd on the grid. Very consistent always, Stoffel. And he's a good learner, quick learner. Didn't do last week. I expect he's going to be a real threat, and he should, all things being well, from 3rd on the grid, have a good shot at making the final.
So Van Buren on pole, Dillman 2nd, Van Dorn 3rd, Eng 4th, 5th for Charlie Eastwood, 6th for Nicki Thiim, 7th for Max Günther, 8th Ed Jones, 9th Juan Pablo Montoya, a better showing than last time out, 10th Lachlan De Francesco, Esteban Gutierrez in 11th place, Jann Mardenborough is 12th, Johnny Adam 13th, Nico Hulkenberg 14th on the grid, 15th for Alexander Rossi, 16th for Callum Ilot. Then we've got Steve Alvarez Brown in 17th place, Adam Christodoulou 18th, 19th Paul O'Neill, and Tony Kanaan at the back of the grid in 20th spot.
So if we had a couple of little shake-ups, Hulkenberg's just jumped up the grid, hasn't he?
Yeah,
to 14th.
I wonder if Hulkenberg got another lap in, perhaps, and that's why he was a little bit higher up the grid. But here we go, the second race of round 2 of the Races All-Star Esports Challenge is underway. Pretty decent getaway from Rudy Van Buren. We're on board with Tom Dillman in the top right, and he's going to lose out here. Stoffel Van Dorn's through in the yellow and green car, up the inside into the first corner. How safe is everybody going to be into the first turn? Van Buren on the brakes. Van Dorn gets there in second. Does he? Oh, there's a couple of slides further back, and now everyone's getting very busy down in 5th or 6th position, and they're flying off the circuit everywhere.
Dillman's dropped right to the back from the 2nd place on the grid. Dillman was one that I think got pushed really wide out of turn 2, and he's dropped to 19th. So much work for him to do to get back to any sort of relevance. Of course, the top 5 is where he really needs to get into the final.
So Van Buren leading, Van Dorn in 2nd, Philip Eng is in 3rd place, 4th is Nicki Thiim, 5th now is Ed Jones, up into 6th is Juan Pablo Montoya, 7th is Charlie Eastwood, 8th is Max Günther, 9 is Esteban Gutierrez, and Tony Kanaan has gone from the back of the grid up into 10th place.
Yeah, wild first half of the lap there. Just as soon as they were weaving down towards turn 1 and so closely bunched, I just feared that there was going to be some sort of chaos, and there was. Kanaan's up to 9th now, and Dillman, the man to watch out for further back. He's got a lot of work to do.
So we have got Van Buren leading the way. 2nd place for Stoffel Van Dorn, but he's about a second behind already.
Dillman's tearing through. Look, he's 10th already. at the end of this first lap, he's given himself half a chance of getting back to the top 5. So the man that qualified on the front row can't be pleased with being 10th at the end of lap 1, but he was right at the back after 2 corners.
So Van Buren leading, second for Stoffel Vandoorne, third is Philip Eng, fourth is that man there, Nicki Thiim, ahead of Ed Jones in 5th position. Max Günther is in 6th place, 7th for Charlie Eastwood, 8th for Esteban Gutierrez, 9th for Tony Kanaan, and 10th for Tom Dillman. The reason that in 9th place it's blank is because Tony Kanaan has logged into the game with only a first name, so he hasn't actually put his surname in the game, so that's why it's blank there. Here's Max Günther in 6th position, just ahead of Charlie Eastwood at the moment, who's a quick driver, a former Porsche Carrera Cup champion in the UK, and now racing in the World Endurance Championship.
Yep, former BRDC F4 race winner in about 2015. Man of serious pedigree in his short career. He started in the top 5, Charlie Eastwood, and he's just dropped to 7th. Günther's gone wide there, so that's going to put Günther under a bit of pressure, and he's already dropping back into the clutches of Gutierrez, heading down on this run towards turn 12.
I think Montoya might have had a spin as well, because he was up there, wasn't he, in the top 10, but has now dropped back into 15th position as Juan Pablo. And we're on lap 3 of 10. It's very close as Tom Dillman here is going to try and get past Tony Kanaan down the start-finish straight. Kanaan doesn't fight him too hard. Dillman, the Frenchman, looks to the inside and should get that move done onto the brakes into the first corner. Dillman up into 9th position. He's about 4 seconds away from Ed Jones in 5th place. It's going to be a tough one for Dillman to carve back through the order, but he might do it.
Sadly for Kanaan, I think that was the sim racing equivalent of being a Renault and seeing a Mercedes coming through. Yeah. There was not a lot of fight, not a lot of need, because Dillman has a bit more pace than Kanaan. I have to say, he's doing a great job though, Tony Kanaan, from the back, still holding his own, but not really putting up too much defence. We saw earlier on a lot of drivers hugging that inside line. Kanaan just stuck to the outside and I think accepted that he might have been past there.
Def Not Jake says Kanaan didn't qualify, didn't even put in a name, and he's in 9th already after 3 laps. So that's good. Rudy Van Buren leading the way. We're watching this fight with Jann Mardenborough, who is just in front of Juan Pablo Montoya. You can see the streaming of Mardenborough on the bottom left there. It's about, I don't know what time it is in Japan. I should have looked into that before I started that sentence. But he is, it's about 2 a.m. I swear it was about 2 a.m. an hour ago. So it might be 3 a.m. by now.
3 a.m.'s about 2 a.m., isn't it? Yeah. The middle of the night, basically.
It's the middle of the night, and he's out there racing. Juan Pablo Montoya in 16th place. Did he win at Indianapolis, Montoya? Feels like somewhere he might have
Not
won.
that I recall. Not that I recall. But no. He might have done. BMW, the Williams BMW had a lot of grunt, and this is a circuit where you need a lot of grunt. Montoya's got it now as he hustles the back of De Francesco. Big sweeping defence there. And I think he's going to try, a bit of contact. Montoya turning into the left rear of De Francesco there. I think they might have got away with it, but no place gained for Juan Pablo.
Rudy Van Buren still leading the way, 1.9 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne in 2nd position. Philip Enger is in 3rd place. 4th is Nicki Thiim. Johnny Adam there in 14th position as he tries to close in here and make a move on Jann Mardenborough. Covers the inside, goes to the outside, does Johnny Adam, but Mardenborough in the light green car covers the inside for the time being. But Adam trying to make his way up the order. Martin Christensen says Stoffel Vandoorne is racing with a Logitech G29 wheel, which is pretty impressive actually, because that is a sort of entry level, that's the kind of wheel I have, and he's here running second to Rudy Van Buren, so if that's true, that's very impressive.
Is Martin Christensen in his house?
Can we see?
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have Stoff's number?
I'm not sure.
I don't think I have.
I'll have a check.
Yeah.
He probably won't reply right now, will he? He's coming second and he's doing a good job.
So, across the line comes this battle for 13th, 14th and 15th. It's the closest fight on track at the moment, although Dillman is closing in a little bit on Esteban Gutierrez. Johnny Adam, again, looks to the inside into the first corner. Can't quite... Oh, might get a nudge here. And I think he might have had a little bit of a force wide from De Francesco. He's still got the inside line, Johnny Adam, and he'll hold on to that place. De Francesco tries to keep it around the outside, but Adam holds on to that 14th position for the time being. Le Mans winner with Aston Martin a couple of years ago.
BTCC race winner?
Johnny Adam?
feels like something he might have done in his past. Maybe that's a bold claim.
He's getting overtaken here. De Francesco sends it up the inside. Oh, and then that's a rumbustious contact. I think that was Montoya following through. So Adam now loses a couple of places. Someone else is off on the grass, and that is Montoya. So Montoya, after making that hit, is now off the track.
Potentially overzealous there for Montoya. I said it before, if there was a gap to be had, he would go for it, and I'm not quite sure there was a gap to be had. And he launched in on the inside there and seems to have come a cropper and has dropped back a fair way now behind Johnny Adam.
Max Wegner is saying now that Stoffel actually got given a Fanatec wheel by the Mercedes Esports team. So that's a bit of a change to his setup from last time. Charlie Eastwood going side by side and wheel to wheel and all sorts of chaos. And that is with Max Günther, I think, who has started to fall down the order. Eastwood trying to spin around. Oh, and then swipes into the side, Vettel style of someone who was trying to rejoin there and has been sent spinning down as well. Actually,
was it Tony Kanaan, I think, that he might have swiped into there? So, yeah, Günther and it was Eastwood battling. I think that was over 6th place. And Gutierrez has emerged in 6th place now after that, and Günther relatively unscathed, but Eastwood's tumbled down and he's got a long way to get back to the 5th place he was aiming for before.
He's immediately sent one up the inside of Tony Kanaan and got back into 10th position. Oh, Dillman's off the circuit. I've just seen that on my monitor. We're seeing a replay of Eastwood getting up the inside. They had a bit of contact and then just kept having contact really all the way through turn 2.
Yeah, it was a robust attempt from Eastwood in the first place, and I think Günther was having none of it and just kept in on the outside and sort of biffed him round straight into turn 2. So, and then look at the chaos then on re-emerging.
Everybody's saying if you look on Twitch, Stoffel Vandoorne is racing with a G29 and he's streaming right now. So there we go. Side by side here, Max Günther and Esteban Gutierrez coming down into the right-hander. Gutierrez on the inside, Günther on the outside, sweeping across. And now that is 6th place for Max Günther, 4 seconds away from Ed Jones in 5th position. So that'll be a tough one for him to close the gap on. Tom Dillman, as we said before, we were looking at him to climb up the order, but he's had a spin, and as a result, he's down to 8th place.
Yeah, not making the progress he needs. So he's got surely too much work with just a few laps to do to get back to 5th place, where Ed Jones at the moment has a 4-second gap over Max Günther and Esteban Gutierrez that we can see on the screen right now. A little bit of breathing space for Jones, and again the top 5 look fairly set right now. It's Philip Eng behind Stoffel Vandoorne, the closest battle in the top 5, but that's for 2nd place, but still not altogether too close.
Dillman's gone off the road again and has now dropped down into 10th position, so the Frenchman is going to have to get it done in the last chance qualifier if he wants to advance.
That's the classic racers overdriving, I think, maybe for Tom Dillman. Started on the front row, got wiped wide into turn 2, lap 1, dropped to the back. Initially looked like he made good progress, but now not able to find more, maybe a bit of damage, but certainly he's not going to be getting into the top 5 unless something dramatic happens, because he's got 17.5 seconds to make up.
We're on lap 8 of 10 in this second heat in the Races All-Star Esports Challenge. And we've got Rudy Van Buren leading the way. Here's Gutierrez now. That is him still fighting with Max Günther. So Gutierrez trying to get past, the Mexican trying to get ahead of the German, but not quite able to pull it off that time around. And there's the replay of it in the top right. Oh, he found the inside line, and Günther fairly aggressively turned in. That was a racing incident, I'd call that.
Yeah, well, it wasn't an incident, was it? Oh,
I think a bit of a nudge.
But they got away with it, and there's some really aggressive, on-the-limit attack and defence going on into turn 1. The inside seems to be the way to go. I haven't seen many people make a move on the outside there, so it's defending the inside, as Rosenqvist was doing for the win last time, and then making sure your rival can't sweep around the outside or be in a position to punt you into turn 2 by just putting a nose in.
Worth pointing out that Nico Hulkenberg in 18th place has just been in the pits and back out again, so he must have picked up some pretty heavy damage out there, Nico Hulkenberg. But this is some good testing for him to get ready for the next race and the last chance qualifier. Lap 9 of 10 with Rudy Van Buren leading the way, 4 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne, with Philip Eng in 3rd, Nicki Thiim 4th, and Ed Jones in 5th, the same top 5 that it's been since the early stages.
That is impressive if Vandoorne's on a more basic equipment to be 2nd. And Van Buren is from a sim background, so really he's doing a great job at the moment, Stoffel. Here he is being hunted down by Philip Eng, but not too closely and not under immense pressure. So at the moment getting the job down and just a short way away from a place in the final for Stoffel.
Now, of course, other steering wheels are available, but Stoffel Vandoorne, you're looking about 180 quid if you want a steering wheel with pedals like Stoffel Vandoorne's got. So it's not bad.
He's got skills.
Yeah,
he's got skills, and he must be fairly well dialed into his Logitech. What is it, a G29?
Yeah.
Others are available though.
And oh, there we go. We're on his Twitch now, I think. So there in the bottom left is Stoffel Vandoorne, and he's even got kitted up in his full Mercedes-Benz EQ gear.
Good to see. Ever the pro, Stoffel. That's that guy that asked me what Stoffel was like. Always the pro, and there we can see him hard at work. The concentration. I think I've got a steering wheel like that at home. It's my brother's. But yeah, he should have a go whilst I commentate.
Yeah. Ed Jones out of the running. So something's happened to Ed Jones. He's suddenly DNF'd, and that means Max Günther is now up into 5th position. So I'll try and find out what happened to Ed Jones there, but that is a big surprise because he was running very well in 5th position.
Yeah, and he was safe as well, wasn't he, from Günther and Gutierrez just behind. So that was a huge fight between Günther and Gutierrez. It's now looking like it's Günther's to lose with a couple of seconds gap and not many corners for Gutierrez to make anything up. And that is critical because it's for the last place in the final.
So here is Rudy Van Buren, though, on his final lap. It's been a really commanding race as he comes through the final right-hander now and out across the line. Rudy Van Buren books himself a place in the final with a commanding win in the second heat of the Race's All-Star Esports Challenge. 5.6 seconds ahead of Stoffel Vandoorne at the end, who's just in front of Philip Eng. Nicki Thiim in 4th, Max Günther in 5th, just ahead of Esteban Gutierrez. So those are the top 5 that will go through to the final. And looking at it, I'm just looking back at the replay on the server, I think Ed Jones just had a disconnection or something like that because he was just coming through the right-hander and the car disappeared. So I think it's a disco for Ed Jones, which will be really gutting for him, but at least he can try and do it again in the last chance qualifier.
Silent disco for Ed Jones.
Panic at the disco for Ed Jones.
Would have been big old panic at the disco because he was due to be in that final. So that one hits the nail on the head.
So Rudy Van Buren takes the win. I was trying to think of a Panic at the Disco song, but all I could think of was closing the goddamn door.
Maybe he has. Hopefully not, because he's got another chance coming up.
Exactly.
In not the Heat 3. What do they call it?
Now,
not the losers' heat, but it's the last chance qualifier.
That would have been so smooth if you'd finished that.
If only I'd done the research.
So there's a look at the results then. Juan Pablo Montoya managed to recover up into 11th position. 12th for Alexander Rossi, who was fairly quiet in that race. Tony Kanaan did well. You see what I mean about his surname? He's just put T Kanaan 6 as his first name, so the game doesn't know that he's got a surname. But Rudy Van Buren, the winner. Stoffel Vandoorne through to the final. Philip Eng, Nicki Thiim, and Max Günther also advancing. Esteban Gutierrez in 6th place, just missing out, and that'll be frustrating for him because he was there in that fight with Max Günther. Charlie Eastwood, Tom Dillman. He's a man that has a lot to play for, to make up for in this last chance qualifier, which will be coming up in about half an hour's time.
Yep. There's going to be a few in there that think they've got a chance. Ed Jones, Gutierrez had a real chance there to stay ahead of Günther. They were in a bit of a dogfight for a while, but Günther ended up ahead. That was for 6th at the time. That became 5th when Ed Jones had a panic at the disco. And so, yeah, there's a few of them. Add in, who was Neel Jani, had a spin in that first heat. There's going to be a few more from there. So it's going to be a very competitive other heat.
Josh Dyson says, can we have all the Palmers next time? Jonathan and Sons. That would be...
and daughters or not?
And well, if they want to.
No.
Oh, okay. So let's have a look at some of the replays from that race, shall we? After a very entertaining 10 laps of racing. And this was a fight between Johnny Adam and De Francesco coming down into the right-hander. Johnny Adam was in the thick of it in all of that, wasn't he? And didn't manage to finish the race in the top 10 in the end, Johnny Adam, because he sort of started to get shuffled out a bit. But we're really seeing good wheel-to-wheel racing with these cars as opposed to the Formula 1 cars last time.
Yeah, the old 2012 Formula 1 cars. So this track, I have to say, I never liked it personally when I was watching Formula 1 on it. Enjoyed it more watching that IndyCar race from last year. But watching this, it's lending itself so well to racing in these low-power cars.
The Brothers Hunt says this is like the Formula Ford Festival just at Indy. And it is that kind of feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all so tight. It's a slipstream battle pretty much. If anyone can break it, as Rudy Van Buren did early on with Van Dorn and Dillman having a bit of a ding-dong on at the start, then you've got a real chance of escaping.
So that is the pro racers done for now. They've still got the last chance qualified to come. We've got our 10 racers that will be progressing through into the final. But now our attention turns to the sim races, and Rene Butler can join us. Rene, have you enjoyed the racing so far? Tell us your thoughts and feelings.
I think we saw good racing once again, that's for sure. Rudy Van Buren with a commanding lead and win. Not really surprising in that group. I have to say, surprising to me was Tony Kanaan. We know that he didn't do anything else on the sim before. He just joined in. You saw it didn't even have his name ready yet, and he picked up pace quite fast. We also had 4 different car manufacturers in terms of drivers. And when we look at the top 5 actually in there, besides Rudy Van Buren, which is more or less listed as world fastest gamer winner, right? He was the first of hopefully many to come in this. So seeing that we have so many different people picking it up and being really on pace here, Nicki Thiim the same. He has experience on sims, not experience in rFactor 2, but it all transfers real racing to sim, different sims to each other, and back to real racing, and that showed us some great action here at Indianapolis.
Next up, we've got the sim racers. For anyone who's watching this YouTube channel that isn't really fully on board with the sim racing, who are the big guys to watch out for in the next race?
One, for me personally, is Aurélien Mallet. He's from the Red Bull Racing Esports squad. He was very successful in a more, let's say, simcade arcade game, which would be Forza Motorsport. But this guy has some sick skills when it comes to racing in general. He has some experience on real racing. He has some experience on other game titles. So that's one to look forward to. The same for Jonas Raivio, one of the drivers that does really well right now in the GT Pro Series on rFactor. A bit out of focus because he's not as a big name as Simoncic is, or Risto Capit, or basically the entire AAA esports lineup. But he's always there up the front, always lurking in the shadow, basically, to finally make the move to be a real highlight. And I think he could be that highlight today.
Rene, Kenneth Parmenter says, does Rene's T-shirt have his house marked on it? Is your house on the T-shirt?
No, I mean, it would be somewhere here. That's Mühlenbach, right?
Yeah.
And I would be here. I can do that on camera. It's not easy here.
Okay, great. Yeah, this image is going to scar me. Thanks for that, Rene. We can now check in with Stoffel Vandoorne, the Mercedes Formula E driver, Mercedes Formula 1 reserve driver, and now sim racing superstar. Stoffel, how are you doing?
I'm all right. How are you?
Yeah. I'm fine. That was a quiet race in the end for you, but good.
Yeah, it was a quiet race. I got a really good start, and then I just got into P2. And yeah, then I was just controlling the race, making sure I finished in the top 5, and yeah, get to the final.
He's always still got the racing driver answers, isn't he?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Stoffel, everybody's loving the fact of what you're racing on, because it looks like you've just got, what is that, a Logitech G29 and just like one screen?
Yeah, it's just a very basic setup, really. It's just a play seat with a Logitech steering wheel and a single screen. So yeah, I'm still waiting for the big stuff to arrive.
Oh, are you expecting the big stuff from Mercedes?
If they're listening, please send it here.
Okay, and what are your hopes for the... Did you watch the first race? Do you think you can be a real front runner in the final?
I didn't watch it, actually. Who won?
That's fine. Who won? I can't remember, Jolien.
Felix Rosenqvist.
Felix Rosenqvist,
and he looked good, to be honest, Stoffel, so yeah, watch out.
No, Felix looking very quick. I don't think I'm quite that pace.
Okay, well, we'll find out in about an hour's time. So good luck, Stoffel. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So qualifying is getting underway for the sim races now. Great to hear from Stoffel Vandoorne. And we are going to have the sim races out in a couple of moments' time. Here they go. Bono Huis out there, you can see, for the team. Well, they're all in the same team. I don't know why I got bogged down in thinking what he's actually with Team Redline as a sim racing driver. Bono Huis, the young Dutchman, coming across the line down into turn 1. Last week was the first time he'd raced on rFactor 2 in a while, having focused his attention on iRacing and also on the F1 Esports series. And he comes into turns 1 and 2 now, Huis, and then accelerating up, shockingly, to 3 and 4. And we'll see what these sim racers can do. We've got Aurélien Mallet out there, Bono Huis, Brendan Lee, Jene Simoncic, the winner from last time. Kamil Pawlowski was a bit disappointing a week ago, so hopefully he can do better here. Kevin Siggy and Lucas Blakely were front runners, but this is tough on the sim guys, isn't it? Because there's only 5 places up for grabs for all of them, full stop. So this is going to be really intense.
Yeah, they don't get the chance to be in the next playoff heat. So it's all or nothing for these guys. This is where we had the winner come from last week. Simoncic did a great job, as you said. Kevin Siggy was really quick. Lucas Blakely. These guys are the regular sim drivers, so it'll be interesting to see what pace they have. Rudy Van Buren did a 19.6 qualifying for that last heat. So it'll be interesting now to see what the likes of Bono Huis et al. Can do in this one.
So here comes Bono Huis across the line, and he's going to be the first man to set lap time. There is Jene Simoncic out there now. Sebastian Job has gone to the top of the times, I think.
Good job.
Yeah.
Good job from him. I've been waiting a while.
But this was the first time I mentioned him, you just got straight in there. Like,
yeah.
I thought there was.
You've been holding that back, haven't you?
No, I've never.
For when he wins the grand final, I've done it one lap into qualifying.
Oh, he's done one turn on his first lap.
He did a good turn.
You got a good job.
Look, the guy did a good turn.
Nah, you got to be saving that. Job. You got to be saving that for the big winner.
Reuse it. It's in long enough.
Yeah, I think that's true.
No repeat guarantee for the next 45 mins.
No. More of you telling me I'm saying Bono Huis wrong. So there we go. It more sounds similar to House. I know that, but he says anyway. I don't need to have that argument every week if Bono Huis is racing every week. Even Erwin now, who appears to be a moderator, is saying lol at the pronunciation of Huis.
Well, doesn't Bono Huis say that's how you could say his name?
Bono Huis has said to me 10 years ago, just say it Huis, it's fine. 10 years ago.
But fine isn't necessarily correct.
No, but I have this with Robin Freitz. I try and say his name right all the time, but it's like a phrase. It's like a phrase. Anyway, Job at the top. Kevin Siggy in second place. Yayovsky's in third at the moment. Then it's Capit in fourth. Sebastian Job, the world's fastest gamer finalist, and we have got Pawlowski up there in 9th position. Lucas Blakely only down in 10th place. So that's a bit of a frustrating one for Blakely. Al-Sabti's in 13th position. Here comes Pinto.
Look at the pace and look how close they are as well. 19.3 for Job.
But that's not a million miles from the pros.
It's not. The pros are they're getting better. They're much closer this time. So that bodes well for the final. But it's tight at the top. There's 4 within a couple of tenths. And Siggy, who was so close to winning but didn't last time, did he finish second? Behind Simoncic, is second right now. But this is just the heat, remember, the final still to come. Where is Simoncic? Down only 8th. So, when you asked who's the favourite, one race in a 2012 Formula 1 car around Nürburgring apparently doesn't translate all that well to this car at Indianapolis.
So, Sebastian Job, as Pinto comes across the line to go into 6th place, Sebastian Job starts on pole position.
Nice job.
Yeah, there it is. That's where you use it. Rene, what did you mention? What did you make of that qualifying session?
Sebastian quite surprised me, I have to say, that he took the lead here. I was really having my money on Kevin Siggy, to be honest. Yayovsky once again just super strong. Bianco Lila, he showed us in the race last week that he can be among the front, but didn't really work out for him yet. Though I still think, I would say, the top 12 can probably all have a shot there to go into our next phase, especially with Pawlowski Kami. He's a driver sponsored by Thrustmaster. He's really good in all kind of racing games. So let's see what he can do here on Indianapolis.
Blakely's only 12th as well. We mentioned Simoncic down in 9th because, was it Nuno Pinto put one in right at the end to go 6th. So you've got the 2 front row qualifiers for last week's final. Simoncic down in 9th, Blakely in 12th. They've got a lot of work to do to save. And remember, this is their one shot to get in the top 5 to try and win that final later on.
So we're about to get going with the third 10-lap race of the day. Sebastian Job on pole position, Kevin Siggy alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then it's Jajovski in 3rd and Risto Capit in 4th position. Then we've got in 5th place, Bono. Let's just call him Bono. Should we just call him Bono like he's from U2?
Well, then people might get confused that it's the U2's Bono competing very well amongst these other sim races.
In 6th place.
5th place.
He races, yeah. Well,
that's crucial, though, because that means that U2's Bono might be making the final.
There is actually a team called Edge Esports, as in the Edge.
Yeah, if only
U2.
Bono raced
for the Edge.
With the Edge.
Yeah. Right, so that's the top 4. We... waiting for the race to get underway. Here we go then. Wait for those lights. Job on pole position. Siggy in 2nd place. 3rd is Jajovski. 4th is Capit. 5th is Suisse. Here come the lights. Job on pole. We're on board with Kevin Siggy as the race gets underway. Reasonable start from Job. Siggy cuts over to the inside and just gets there in front of Jajovski. The top 4 all together. On the run down towards the first corner. We've seen the pros very well behaved in the first couple of corners, and Siggy pulls to the outside. Can he get around the outside of turn 1? That was ambitious stuff, and Job holds on to the place. 2nd is Siggy, 3rd is Jajovski, 4th is Capit, 5th is Squeeze, 6th is Pinto. So no changes there, despite that bold move from Kevin Siggy at turn 1.
Really bold around the outside again. I said I haven't seen many moves around there. Well, maybe Kevin Siggy was listening because he tried it straight away, but it didn't work, and he fell right into the clutches of Jajovski. But he's managed to regroup, and here he goes again towards turn 7, the back straight. Close, but no cigar in here. Just a few corners, though, and then they're going to open up at turn 12, where there is a better chance to overtake, and then, of course, back into turn 1 again.
Everyone now on the chat saying, yes, get in there, Bono, because they're thinking of that Bono, not the U2 Bono, but the other Bono. My tyres are dead Bono type of Bono. Sebastian Job leading the way, Siggy 2nd, Jajovski 3rd, Capit 4th, Pinto 5th. There's a bit of action here as Jene Simoncic, winner last time out, tries to make progress up the order. He is up behind Bono, Huis, as they fight it out for 6th position. You've got to be in the top 5 in this race, or your day's done.
Simoncic, though, started 9th. He's up to 7th, and now he's going to try and put a move on Bono as they come through. Bono was defending, Bono Huis, and Simoncic then on the outside trying to make it through. That'll be Siggy, to put him already in 6th.
Siggy up the inside for the lead, and they hit each other, and they hit each other again, and they're still side by side. And I think Siggy's got the job done on Sebastian Job, but Job tries to fight back to the inside of 4. Not quite close enough. You're seeing a replay of the start in the top right. Job could lose out here to Jajovski as they come through the quick flicker left and right at 5 and 6.
How did that not end in tears for Siggy and Job? Siggy is really risking it in this heat. Just needs to be in the top 5, but the pressure's on. There's no losers final for these guys. They have no other chance to get through. They need to be in the top 5. It's so competitive. Oh. And Simoncic is dropping.
He spun. I think he was hit at turn 7, Simoncic. He went facing backwards, and I think the winner from last time out might be in a bit of trouble here. Brendan Lee, I think, has gone around and is down into 16th place after he was running in the top 10. Meanwhile, it's Kevin Siggy in the lead, who's taken it away from Sebastian Job. Then in the purple car in 3rd place is Erhan Jajovski. He is now under a bit of pressure from Capit, but himself trying to get in front of Sebastian Job himself.
Yeah, here they go. Slipstream battle again, down towards turn 1. Looks like Siggy might have opened up enough of a gap, half a second to Job, as he doesn't feel the need to defend the inside there with that half a second. That's enough. And look at that front pack. That's 1st to 6th. Bono Huis in 6th position. All separated by less than 2 seconds. 6 cars, super tight.
And the thing is, these guys have now got a 4 or 5 second advantage to Lucas Blakely in 7th place. So as it stands, only one of these top 6 would miss out on going through to the final. So they sort of need to be a bit clever about this. It's Pinto and Huis who are the 2 fighting here as we come down into turn 7. Huis is closing in. Surely he's going to go for it up the inside into turn 7. No, Pinto's going for Capit. Not quite able to do it. Huis goes to the outside. Great move up into 5th position for Bono Huis. Lovely stuff.
Ripper. That was brilliant around the outside at turn 7. Moves around the outside have been very, very sketchy so far today, but Bono Huis, I think, caught Pinto napping a little bit. Pinto trying to pass Capit. Huis then went right around the outside, carried so much more apex speed, and made it through very neatly in the end. That's the critical fight for 5th place.
Up at the front, though, we have got a very, very strong performance. It's an 0.8 of a second lead for Kevin Siggy, who, as Martin Miller points out, is getting Siggy with it as he comes across the line. 2nd place, here comes Jajowski. We're on board with him now to the outside of Sebastian Job on the run down into the first corner. Has Siggy got that done? Onto the brakes. I think he has. Yep, 2nd place. Oh, and there's a late move, and Pinto hits Huis. Huis is in the grass. Pinto up into 5th place. Huis is going to be furious with that. Lucas Blakely's going to try and get in on him, and now the top 5 have gapped everyone else.
Yeah, that's really bad news for Bono then, down to 6th. Pinto punting him round there, really. It was a bit ambitious from Pinto. Huis, though, did turn in and contact before the exit of the corner. Maybe could have given slightly more room. Let's see if we get a replay for a better look at that, but it's critical. Here we go then. So, I tell you what, I think Bono Huis turned in a bit much on Pinto there. I think he had the right to have a look on the inside, and Bono Huis there didn't give him a lot of room at the apex and was the real loser in all of that.
So, lap 4 of 10. Siggy leading, 0.8 of a second ahead of Jajowski in 2nd. Sebastian Job in 3rd place. And 4th is Capit, who is just ahead of Pinto in 5th position.
That's a big breather, though, for Pinto. That was the lead gaggle for 6th. 5 go through, and now that's now 5 in that lead gaggle. All will go through. They don't need to race each other quite as hard. I think there was a bit of panic stations between Pinto and Huis, who's just lost out to Lucas Blakely as well. I'll tell you what, Blakely was rapid last week. He was a front row qualifier for the final. He had really good pace in the final, but had too much work to do after a bad start. He's up to 6th. He's 2.5 seconds away from Pinto, so any mistakes from Pinto, and he's going to have Lucas Blakely breathing down his neck.
Lewis Blakely, the F1 Esports Racing Point driver, the young Scotsman, who didn't do a huge amount of racing last year in the F1 Esports series. He was on the sort of team of 3 for Racing Point, along with Marcel Kiefer and someone else I can't remember.
He was quick when he turned up, though.
Yeah,
that's for sure. He made people notice, Lucas Blakely, and he's making people notice mainly Pinto soon if he can just find a bit of pace halfway through the race. And the top 5 still with that breathing space, and it's the gap between Pinto and Blakely that could be interesting if Blakely can just find a bit.
There's Petr Berliak running in 10th position at the moment. We go on board with Simoncic behind him in 11th position, and they're coming around the banking now to start another lap. It's Siggy leading, Jajowski 2nd still, Job in 3rd, Capet 4th, and 5th for Pinto, with Lucas Blakely in that 6th position. All this queue coming up behind as well, with Petr Berliak chasing down Jordan and Mrocek, which brings us really to the completion of the top 10. And Siggy it is who is out in front. Berliak coming through the left-right flick, only just in front of this man, Jerne Simoncic, who's trying to make a move. Might be close here, you know, coming down into the left-hander of 7. Does Simoncic fancy it? Sees it coming. Does Berliak, and covers the inside line, and all of that could allow Biancolila to try and make a move, but the Italian remains in 12th position.
So Simoncic a little bit stuck here in this mid-fight. 11th place for last week's winner. He got hit, didn't he, trying to fight for 6th earlier on, and got mired into this midfield, and now he's got to defend as much as attack with Biancolila right behind him through turn 12 and 13, this right-left. And then they're going to unleash again onto this main straight where it's real attack v defence when they're all so grouped together like this.
Lucas Vedder, thank you very much, points out it was Daniele Haddad who was the 3rd Racing Point driver. You're absolutely right. Thank you very much, Lucas, for reminding me that. Lap 7 of 10. Race leader Kevin Siggy, 0.6 of a second ahead of Jajowski. Then he is quite a way in front of Sebastian Job, Capit and Pinto, who are completing the top 5. This is Mitchell de Jong in 15th position, former world's fastest gamer finalist. Races for the Coanda Esports team. He at the moment is up in front of Brendan Lee. So Brendan Lee, 2 times F1 Esports champion, trying to make his way back through the order, and he gets in the slipstream here, goes to the inside, and Brendan Lee should be able to get up into 15th place here, onto the brakes, and Lee goes through. Started his career on Codemasters games, did Brendan Lee. A lot of the Codemasters F1 Esports guys came from sim racing over to Codemasters, but Brendan Lee, I think, came the other way round.
He's back behind De Jong now. They're just switching places all the time. We're watching Simincic trying to attack, and still with Biancalillo just behind him. And Brendan Lee was side by side with De Jong for a few corners there, and I think finally got the move done. No, apparently not.
Lap 8 of 10 as Siggy comes across the line, still ahead of Yayovsky out in the lead, but there's this great queue of cars in the midfield as Simincic tries to make his move still on Berliak. They're side by side further back, and that is going to be Kastorp going past Biancalillo there. So that was a good move for Kastorp to move up a place and gets into the top 12 now. Biancalillo drops back a little bit, and he's coming into the clutches of Al Sabti and De Jong and Lee, who are still fighting, although as I say that, Lee's dropped 1.3 seconds back. Here comes Simincic now on the attack to try and pass Petr Berliak into turn 7. Looks to the outside, tries to send it all the way around the outside. There's contact. Simincic is off. Berliak might have spun in there. Berliak keeps it pinned, comes straight back onto the track. No troubles for him, loses a couple of places. I think Berliak kept going, but now there's a spin, and now there's an almighty crash. Someone's upside down. Simincic is in trouble, and that was coming. Yeah. Those guys all racing very, very intensely.
Berliak upside down there, and that was an incident without Simincic. He'd had his own one and just cut the grass through turn 7. But they were all racing so closely for so many laps, and then finally one spinner and then another car, few cars coming into him, and a sorry end for Berliak.
Kevin Siggy leading the way, 2/10 ahead of Yayovsky. Simincic, though, is going to be under pressure here. Huis has got back ahead of Lucas Blakely. There's side-by-side action further in front as Jordan and Marocek do battle, and that is Simincic going to be losing out here. Is he to Biancalillo as they come down into the left-hand? No, sorry, that's Ravio that goes past him. But here's Kevin Siggy out in front. Yayovsky's closed in a little bit, you know. There's only 4/10 between them now. Their finishing positions don't count towards the grid for the final. That's worth pointing out. They go through to another qualification session, and also I think Yayovsky's just got turn 7 wrong.
Yeah, he got so close, but I think he went too deep into 7 and ran very wide on the exit. So Siggy now has probably got the biggest gap he's had all race suddenly after he was coming under a bit of pressure. So the top 5 places still looking pretty safe. Bono managed to get back to 6th, got ahead of Lucas Blakely. They both closed in on Pinto in 5th place, but they're not going to do it quickly enough, I don't think, because with just over a lap to go, that's surely too much difference. We're seeing very few mistakes with people on their own. Pinto's just got to make sure that either Capit doesn't slow down or he doesn't need to have a go at passing him, because right now, 4th and 5th, they're going to be through. And again, as you said, they're going to restart with a new qualifying, so this finishing position doesn't mean a lot so long as you get in the top 5.
Half an hour too late, but Johnny Adam was a BTCC podium finisher.
Podium, okay.
He was in the Seats with Darren Turner, wasn't he? I've just had the flashback. But anyway, we'll be seeing Johnny Adam in the next race. Here's Lucas Blakely, meanwhile, in 7th position, who's dropped back behind Bono Huis. Those two are still 2 seconds away from Pinto in front, so I think that top 5 of Siggy, Yayovsky, Job, Capit and Pinto are the ones that will progress straight through to the final, and everybody else, their day will be over.
What I'm excited about is that these guys dominated last week, really. Felix Rosenqvist finished 7th as the top real racer out there. But I think the pace that the pros are showing from heats 1 and 2 is closer to that of the sim racers, which we're seeing now. And also with the way the slipstream's panning out, drivers are able to stay with good proximity to keep the pressure on those ahead. So the likes of Felix Rosenqvist and Stoffel Van Dorn, who we spoke to just before this race, they're they've got half a chance of sticking with some of these guys, although they look very impressive with Kevin Siggy doing a bit of a weave as he takes the flag.
So Kevin Siggy taking victory in the Sim Racers element of the race's All-Star Esports Challenge. Yayovsky in second, Job in third, Capit in fourth, and fifth for Pinto. Nuno Pinto completing the top 5 after starting in 6th place. And those 5 will advance through to the final. A quiet race up at the front. Once Bono Ruiz was out of it, the top 5 were there, and they didn't need to get up to any mischief.
No, it was bedlam before that, fighting. I'm amazed how much Kevin Siggy was fighting there with the likes of Sebastian Job for the lead of the race when they only need to be in the top 5. But it worked out for him. Siggy won the race and goes straight through to the final, where he probably starts as favourite.
There are the results then. Kevin Siggy. Okay. Bold claim. Kevin Siggy winning the race then. Yayovsky going through as well in second position. Then some of these drivers missing out. Simoncic in 13th place. The big name to lose out, really, after doing so well in the race last week, i.e. winning it. Aurélien Mallet, the Red Bull Esports driver, down in 15th place. The Mercedes Esports driver, Brendan Lee, not making it through after he got involved in incidents in the early laps. But Siggy, Yayovsky, Job, Capit and Pinto, the top 5. And we can now talk to Kevin Siggy, the race winner. Kevin, good fight, actually, with Sebastian Job in the early stages. And once you took the lead, it looked fairly straightforward.
Not really, actually, because Erhan was really fast behind me, and I did a small mistake. I think it was lap 7, and then he caught up to me. But I got really lucky that he outbraked himself in sector 2. So yeah, the battle was pretty tense, especially in turn 1, in both laps, first and second one. And yeah, after that I just had to keep my cool and just do the best laps I can.
Kevin, how much were you thinking of being in the top 5 compared to winning the race? Because you risked it quite a lot in the early laps.
Yeah, I did. It was because of the prize pool, obviously. We're getting the prize pool in this sim race. So yeah, I took a high risk and I just wanted to be P1 after turn 1. Didn't work out, but then afterwards I knew I had the only chance the next lap, and I took it.
Okay, great. Well done, Kevin, and we'll see you in the final.
Thank you.
So that was Kevin Siggy, race winner in the esports element of this race, and now we're going to move on to the last chance qualifier for the pros. But first, let's have a little bit of a look back at the start. Siggy went for it right from the getaway, didn't he? A really brave move down the outside into turn 1. I thought this wasn't going to work for him. Well, it didn't, but I thought it was going to end up worse.
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw in the last heat when Tom Dillman lost out and Stoffel Van Dorn. They were all fighting like that. And this was the move. He got on the curve, ran a bit wide. It was real elbows out stuff for Kevin Siggy, but he passed Sebastian Job, and that was the critical move for the race. Job tried to fight back there, again, really, really tight. But then Siggy took the lead and didn't have to look back from there.
Indeed. So Sebastian Job then was under big pressure from Yayovsky in their fight for second position. That was a little spin wide, and that was all sorts of chaos that Simoncic got involved in. No stewarding as such in this race. So that's why we haven't seen any sort of 5-second penalties applied. I've had a few questions about that, but that was Kevin Siggy weaving around as he took victory and booked himself a place in the final after doing so well last week. So you reckon those top? I don't think it's. Last week we saw the top 5 or 6 were the sim racers, then the pro drivers were coming in after. I think we're going to be a bit more mixed up here.
Oh, I agree. All I said was that I think Kevin Siggy, he's my favourite, Kevin Siggy, not my favourite guy out there. That sounded a bit weird. He's my favourite for the final. I should clarify. Who's yours? Who's your favourite?
My favourite person? Bono Ruiz, I love him.
He's not in the final.
No, I know, but I thought we were talking about our favourite people.
No, favourites for the final, Jack.
Oh, favourites for the final. I'm gonna go real life. I'm gonna go Rosenqvist.
We've got more finalists to be uncovered.
Yeah,
that's this next one, though.
That's very true, actually. We have got the last chance qualifiers coming up, though, as you say, and we've got some strong drivers in that, haven't we, who were looking quick and didn't quite make it through, the likes of Neel Jani. We've got another chance for Nico Hulkenberg as well.
Hulkenberg, Dillman, Antonio Felix da Costa look really quick and racy. Jimmy Broadbent will go again.
Yeah, Jimmy Broadbent will go again. So if you're here for Jimmy, be excited because he's going to be racing again in a couple of moments' time, and we'll see what he can do. Johnny Adam, who we were talking about before, Esteban Gutierrez just missed out, didn't he, in 6th place in that second race. So he's going to want to be out there too. Another member of the Mercedes team.
Yep, and they've shown mixed so far. Brendan Lee, they're not quite getting the result he was hoping for. Van Dorn looked really quick. Gutierrez was really close, but just lost out to Max Günther in Heat 2. But he's going to be one of the ones that's going to be aiming probably not just to get through in the top 5, but to try and win this one.
Last time we checked in on Jimmy, he had his shorts and he was climbing all over his racing rig. But those of you who follow him on YouTube will be very used to seeing him there. And great YouTube videos from Jimmy Broadbent, and he's there all set to go for this last chance qualifier race. Paul O'Neill is going to be in it. Abbie Eaton is going to be racing as well. But a lot of it's a real split, isn't it, between these drivers who've gone last minute. Oh right, let's do some sim racing, and they're sort of towards the back, compared to these guys who take it sort of pretty seriously.
Yeah, there is a big split. Some of the guys that have come last minute have been really impressive. Not quite made it through.
Tony Kanaan, we're going to see more Tony Kanaan.
Brilliant. Mr. No Name, but super quick, really good at the start of the race. I'll tell you what, he's not out of this. The pace that he showed, despite being a latecomer, despite not having a surname in the in the official standings, he looked all right as well. This is probably the hardest race to call, I'd say.
Yeah, I think this is going to be really tough, isn't it? As we get ready to get going with it. Nelson Piquet Jr. was out there. He was running quite well, I think, before spinning. The likes of Ross Gunn has already made it through. The likes of Stoffel Van Dorn, who we spoke to earlier, have already made it through, and Felix Rosenqvist. So this is going to be basically the 20 drivers that didn't make it through into the final have their last chance to try and advance, and the race will be getting underway before too long. Qualifying will be getting underway soon. Looks as though everybody is pretty much in the server, so we shouldn't be too long before we go. Shadow of Havoc says people need to not hit Jimmy, and I do feel like Jimmy gets hit a lot. Do you not feel he's always involved in some kind of kerfuffle?
He was very unlucky, and actually last week as well. He was in the final last week, Jimmy, wasn't he? And he had a torrid time with a few incidents. And did he get a drive-through penalty last week as well?
Yeah, maybe. Craig Evans wants to know where you went to get that lovely tan.
Here we go. Australia. What did I do there? Yeah. Not a lot.
I forgot that I was there as well.
Yeah, you were there.
I've got a bit of colour. I'm a bit tanned. We're both looking at ourselves on the monitor now. Yeah, we were both in Australia for that was worth it. So we're now getting ready for the last chance qualifier. We've already had those 3 races in which 15 drivers have progressed through to the grand final, but these last 5 will be going. This is the last chance for 5 more to head through to the grand final of 20 drivers in about 20 minutes' time.
Ed Jones is back in.
Yeah.
So the man that had the disco in Heat 2 was in the top 5, disconnected, lost out, a DNF. He's back in, and he's going to be the main man that probably feels like he should be in the final.
Yeah.
Because he was there until he had the disconnection, so that's one to look out for.
That's true, actually. He was one that really had it taken out of his hands. We have got all sorts of people racing around the world, which is great to see. And here at the race, we're trying to keep the racing going whilst the real life stuff is not doing so well. Steve Alvarez Brown there, getting ready to head out onto the track. And look, you can follow their feet and stuff. You see the heel.
That's good cam work. That's really good camera work. I love the focus of these guys. It's so it's good to see because their tiny margins make up a really good lap and someone looking not very good at all.
I always find sim racing it's so stressful. So stressful. And I'm sure it's the same in real life.
It is.
But is it? Like, because this is the thing. When no. But like, once you're out there, does that all kind of go away? Or because like, so for example, when I'm sitting there, right, about to do my sim race, qualifying, sweating buckets.
This
just
is
in
England.
In England.
Not in Singapore with fireproofs on and 99% humidity.
But is it not? I feel like it would be different if you're a real driver because you're just like, that's your job. You're there to do that. You know,
was it not your job, the sim racing at the time?
It was not. It was not. But is it that? Are you like heart pound and absolutely stressed?
Look, qualifying is critical in Formula One, as it is here. But it sets your whole weekend. If you make a mistake in a lap, you can be nowhere. And we know overtaking is possible but difficult. And if you don't put your perfect lap together, tiny margins make a difference. There's big pressure. I think you probably get used to it, maybe more than you seem to be not handling pressure very well. I have to say,
I think this is
if you're nearly going into cardiac arrest before a sim racing qualifying, you've got bigger issues, pal.
That's fair. All right, well, I'm just trying to get some racing drivers' input out of you, but maybe I'll give up on that. We're about to go racing then with qualifying. This is the last chance qualifier. Hugo Bryant says Palmer equals partridge with a tan.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that's one of the highest positives or compliments your broadcasting has ever received.
A broadcasting legend.
Yeah. Right. Here we go then. Tom Dillman, we were talking about him, was very quick in what did he qualify second on the grid in his for his heat?
Yep, second on the grid, looked really quick, got taken out at the start. So he's going to be another. There's quite a few that need to try and make amends for nearly moments in their heats. And of course this qualifying is going to be critical, as we've just discussed, Jack. Qualifying important, huge pressure on these guys because now they don't have an out. All of these guys had their chance again. If they didn't make the top 5, unlike the sim racers, they had 2 goes. This is their second go. And here we go. Dillman starting a flyer. Let's see what he can do. He was very quick. He's probably the quickest of anyone left in, I'd say, from the first 2 heats. So what sort of benchmark are we going to see? Mid-19 would be very quick.
So we're underway for qualifying for the Jones Soda last chance qualifier. And Lorenzo Bonda is now giving me stick. 100% binning it in qualifying ratio confirmed is the accusation at me. It's true, I wasn't.
Did you underperform in qualifying?
Aidan Millward has just said, still reckon Jack's related to James Corden.
A very witty guy.
Let's focus on qualifying, shall we? Here's Tom Dillman coming through turns 7 and 8. The amount of comments that ask Jolyon whether they have to be alert on a street circuit is funny. Never gets old, does it?
Never. Never.
So here comes Dillman.
I never said that, and that's the actual the amazing quote never came from my mouth, but I'm rolling with it. And I always was trying to be alert on a street circuit, to be fair. Here, not a street circuit, but you've still got to be alert. That's the main thing.
So to the top of the times has gone Neel Jani, a 1 minute 19.9. Da Costa's done a 1 minute 20.2. Dillman, only a 1 minute 20.0. So that's not a big lap there from Tom Dillman. I was expecting more.
Yeah, still enough for second at the moment. Laps coming in. Da Costa's gone third. He's one that could well be looking to get through. Hulkenberg has not done a good lap again. The same as last time. He's a long way adrift and made a big mistake there. So at the moment, Jani on a 19.9 is still enough to be pole position.
So Jani there, Dillman second, Felix Da Costa in third place, Jones in fourth, Davison fifth, Bradley Smith is in sixth place. Then goes Montoya up into 10th place. We're watching Jimmy Broadbent. And actually, Juan Pablo Montoya has now gone third quickest. Good lap from Juan Pablo as we watch Jimmy Broadbent on his qualifying lap. And Ed Jones in fifth position, 0.3 of a second away from Neel Jani. I guess it's not surprising that in the last chance qualifiers, the pace is a little bit away from the pace that sent them through.
Still a pretty reasonable pace from Jani, though.
Yeah.
In the 1 minute 19s. That's 0.6 away from the absolute fastest of the best sim racers. So we're not expecting these guys to necessarily be right at the sharp end of the main final, but it gives them a chance to see what they can do at least anyway. And maybe they can.
Hulkenberg has slotted into 21st place, 10 seconds off the pace as Jani is quickest. Here comes Jimmy Broadbent then into the final couple of corners at 12, and then the left-hander of 13, and then right out on 14 and across the line, and we'll see what he can do. Da Costa 4th, Eastwood 5th, Jones 6th. Can Jimmy Broadbent? I think the top 15 for Jimmy would be a good lap here. Here he comes across the line, and it's 11th. Good stuff, out qualifying Nick De Vries, only 0.8 of a second away from Jimmy Broadbent and that, from Neel Jani, and that is convincingly not last for Jimmy Broadbent.
He's given himself a chance there.
Yeah.
7 to try and beat in this race coming up to get himself a place in the final. That's doable from 12th.
Yeah. Abbie Eaton comes across the line. I don't think she's going to qualify, and Adam Christodoulou is off the circuit, and Paul O'Neill is off the circuit as well. So I don't know if they've run into issues there. So Neel Jani will start on pole position. Tom Dillman alongside him on the front row. Juan Pablo Montoya 3rd. Antonio Felix da Costa 4th. Charlie Eastwood in 5th position. And as it stands, if it finished how it starts, those are the top 5 that will go. I think this is going to be, I don't want to say carnage because, you know,
it could be. It really could be. These are mostly people. Well, some of these people are here because they've had incident in their heat. Even the drivers that are at the front. Neel Jani had a spin in his heat. That's why he's not. Well, he's not had a better chance of making the final through his heat. Dillman was called out at the start. Montoya was involved in chaos. Da Costa was involved as well. They've all had many incident on the way through. This could be a very fun race coming up. Loving Montoya in 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. Aren't we all?
That's good stuff. This was his last ever Formula 1 race. Indianapolis 2006.
Really? Neel Jani on pole position for the last chance qualifier in the RaceAll-Star Esport battle. Tom Dillman alongside him on the front row. Juan Pablo Montoya in 3rd position. 4th is Antonio Felix da Costa. Charlie Eastwood there in 5th place with Ed Jones in 6th. 7th for James Davison, the IndyCar racer, ahead of Bradley Smith, former karting rival of Jolyon Palmer, in 8th position. Nick Cassidy is in 9th place with Sebas Montoya completing the top 10. That is Juan Pablo Montoya's son and now a Formula 4 racer. Esteban Gutierrez down in 11th place, which is a bit of a surprise because he only just missed out on advancing through to the final in his heat. Nick De Vries, 13th, the reigning Formula 2 champion. Jann Mardenborough in 14th is a bit of a surprise, actually, because that's a man who formerly won the Nissan GT Academy. Tony Kanaan, 17th on the grid. Last race, he went from 20th to 8th, I think, within the first lap or something, so keep an eye out on him. Callum Ilot down there in 18th place. Alexander Rossi, Devlin De Francesco, Nico Hulkenberg, and Paul O'Neill, the 24 drivers. Here we go, then. Last chance qualifier is underway. Neel Jani gets not a great start, and actually Montoya's got a good one. He's getting squeezed into the pit wall. There's contact between he and Tom Dillman, but I think they managed to keep going into the first corner. Who's going to be brave? Into turn 1. Jani's got the lead. It's 4 wide for 2nd, and there's a nudge. Someone's going around. I think Montoya has made it through all of that, has a bit of opposite lock. Dillman in 2nd, Montoya 3rd, Davison 4th, Jones 5th, Eastwood 6th, Cassidy 7th, Smith, Broadbent, Da Costa. The rest of the top 10.
Largely, despite all that contact, even Montoya and Dillman getting together within meters from the line, they're all roughly still in the same place. I think Da Costa was the loser out of that start. He's down to 10th from what was in the top 5, I'm pretty sure. So he's got some salvaging to do. But there's enough time and potentially enough chaos for anything to unfold here.
So Neel Jani leading the way. The 36-year-old 2016 Le Mans winner. Dillman in 2nd place. Juan Pablo Montoya 3rd. This is Bradley Smith that we're watching in 6th position, the former radical racer.
Gutierrez has lost out as well. We said he was surprisingly only 11th on the grid. He's now 20th, so he lost out in all of that chaos at the start. That's a long way to come back.
Here's Smith in 6th position. Half a second or so behind Jones, but there's only 3/10 between the leaders as they come across the line, and I think Dillman's going to go for it here. He's right in the slipstream behind Neel Jani into turn 1. Dillman sweeps to the inside. Can he get the job done? Yeah, quite easy actually. Got such a good run there, Tom Dillman, and he's ahead of Neel Jani into the lead.
Jani's thinking long game, I think. There was no hint of a defence. He just sat there like a sitting duck on the outside. Dillman came through, and I think Jani knows he doesn't want to fight with Dillman. He doesn't want to have a spin. They both should have the pace to get through this heat and into the final, and fighting with each other will only drop them back into the clutches of Montoya and Davison. Then you're back into the slipstream battle. So clever work, I think, from Jani, even though he lost a place.
Davison challenging Montoya. Jimmy Broadbent is up into 7th position, only 2 places away from getting through to the final. Da Costa is out of the race. Ilot's out of the race. Mardenborough is out of the race as well. And I think we've also lost Alexander Rossi from this race too. But Dillman it is leading. Neel Jani in second. Then a bit of a gap back to Montoya in third. There is Jani in the red car in second spot. Montoya behind him in third position in the light blue car, just in front of the purple machine of James Davison, the IndyCar racer. And then Ed Jones in sixth, another IndyCar racer. He just needs to get up that one place, doesn't he, to get into the final. And then Broadbent is only about 0.6 of a second behind that battle as well, as they get onto the brakes into turn one. Everybody's spreading out a little bit. Does anyone fancy a move? There's one coming in there. Davison on Montoya. Montoya's on the grass and he's round and he's been hit. Juan Pablo Montoya won't be going through to the final, and I think it's Ed Jones that he's hit into. I think it's Ed Jones that has T-boned the side of Juan Pablo Montoya, and they're both eliminated from the front.
What a shame. Two guys that were having really strong races. Montoya lost it, and Jones had nowhere to go there.
And Broadbent's up to fourth.
Broadbent's going to go through at this rate. He's made the most of that. 2 places, and up into fourth, but it's still super close.
But not for long, because through goes Charlie Eastwood into the left-hander of turn 7, so Broadbent still in that 5th place. He's just in front now of James Headley, who was brought in to replace Max Verstappen, who unfortunately had to pull out at the last minute of this event. But you can see Jimmy Broadbent stream down in the bottom left as he continues this fight. And he might have a go here, you know, at getting back past Charlie Eastwood, but he's locked up and he's on the grass and he's going to lose out on the top 5. Through goes Smith, up into 5th position, and Broadbent drops down into 6th spot. Can he recover?
So much focus trying to pass Eastwood that I think he just simply missed his braking point, got really wide, did well not to spin because he's got a chance here coming back past Bradley Smith. Not much in it, and Smith tries to defend down to turn 1, bit of a weave. Broadbent too far back on this go, but there's a long way to go, and he's in with a chance still. 6th place, didn't spin, made a mistake, sure, but he can still make it up. 1 more place and he's in the final.
Lap 4 of 10. Tom Dillman leading, a second ahead of Neel Jani in this last chance qualifier. The top 5 progress through to the final. And Montoya's out of the race. Juan Pablo Montoya out of the race, as is Nico Hulkenberg. Oh, that's such a shame for Juan Pablo. Was there anything he could have done different? Was that his Ed Jones actually here is making a move on Nick de Vries for 8th position, but anything you could have seen Montoya doing differently?
Didn't he just get in a bit hot in the end?
Yeah.
And I don't think there was any contact. I think he just got in hot and ended up running wide and then spinning on his own. So, I mean, braking earlier. But it's so difficult when you've got this long straight. And he was side by side at the time with James Davison for 3rd place. And it's so easy to just end up barreling in too much speed. And I think that seemed to be the case for Juan Pablo, sadly. He was having a great race. Shame to see him out.
Lap 5 of 10 in the last chance qualifier. Tom Dillman, a second up the road from Neel Jani. James Davison in 3rd, Charlie Eastwood 4th. And at the moment, completing the top 5 is Bradley Smith, with Jimmy Broadbent in 6th position. Only 0.4 of a second back, though. So we'll definitely keep an eye out on whether Jimmy Broadbent can get back up into the top 5. Headley 7th, Jones 8th, De Vries 9th, Cassidy 10th, Gutierrez, Adam Montoya, De Francesco, Christodoulou, the top 15. Then we've got Juan Manuel Correa in 16th place, 17th for Tony Kanaan, and 18th is Abbie Eaton. Lap 5 of 10. Here's Jimmy Broadbent. We're on board with him in the top right as we try and close down and pass Bradley Smith in front.
Still close, still pressuring Smith. That's what he's got to do right now. These few corners, it's very difficult to overtake, particularly from this far back. But he's got to get a good run out of turn 10 that he's just coming up to here and unleash onto these 2 longer straights. A nice slipstream, and he could be somewhere near Bradley Smith by the time they get to the braking zone for turn 1.
Through the right-hander, then into this little right-left where it went wrong for Broadbent a couple of laps ago. Keeps it together this time. Then out onto the start-finish straight again. Tom Dillman leading, Neel Jani in 2nd, James Davison in 3rd. Those 2 all fairly spread out. Broadbent trying to keep the slipstream from Smith as they come down into turn 1. Smith's doing his best to weave around. He's really close there, Jimmy Broadbent, isn't he? But can't quite get it done. Has Smith gone in deep? No, not too deep.
He did go in a little bit deep, and Broadbent had a better line through turn 2. He's closing. He's definitely closing. The laps tick down, but Smith is under more and more pressure now, and this is the last place to get into that final. The top 5 once again go through, and Bradley Smith feeling the heat, weaving around on the straight as well. That's when you know you're under pressure, not even making one decisive move. But yeah, going both ways just to try and keep Jimmy Broadbent out of the slipstream, which has been pretty effective. He's closer this time.
Juan Manuel Correa is up into 15th position. He's driving just using his left leg after that horrible crash at Spa earlier, well, in the summer of last year. And there's a feature on his recovery on the race's YouTube channel if you want to check that out. It's really startling stuff. And Correa is up into 15th place. Good to see him back on the virtual track at least.
That's super impressive.
Yeah.
To be one leg, using one leg, and even competitive. Very impressive from Manuel Correa, 15th, and ahead of Christodoulou.
Lap 7 of 10. Dillman leading the way. Here comes Jimmy Broadbent. Can he get into 5th place as they come into turn 1? Smith covers the inside. Broadbent goes to the outside, but just takes his time, just letting Smith know he's there.
Better line through turn 2. He just opened up turn 1 more because Smith was so defensive, and he's just closer once again. Soon that slipstream's going to be huge. That Smith's going to be really, really struggling into turn 1 more than he already is. Look at that as they bounce through turns 5 and 6. The chicane, here we go, down to 7.
Smith covers the inside. Broadbent on the outside for a place in the final. Onto the brakes. Broadbent can't sweep it round there. We've seen some moves there so far today, but he's driving sensibly, I feel.
He's driving sensibly. Smith's driving really well defensively as well. So this is 2 guys battling for a place in the final, and at the moment, neither putting a foot wrong. Both under pressure. Broadbent to get into the final by passing Smith, and Smith desperate to keep Broadbent in the white car just behind him. Oh, I think Jimmy's just made a slight mistake there in turn 12, and he has. He's dropped back a good chunk, and that will allow Smith a bit of breathing space on this run. 6/10 is not huge, but it's just 1 lap that he probably won't need to defend.
Lap 8 of 10. Tom Dillman still leading fairly comfortably. 1.4 seconds ahead of Neel Jani in 2nd place. James Davison is in 3rd. Charlie Eastwood 4th. And at the moment, this is the 5th place battle, the final spot to advance through to the final. 5th is Bradley Smith. 6th is Jimmy Broadbent. James Davison now is right on the back of... Charlie Eastwood is right on the back of James Davison in the battle for 3rd position. No real need to do anything risky here for Charlie Eastwood, but you never want to just sit behind a guy, presumably.
No, he'll want to try and pass if he can, and he's getting really, really close. Here we go, down to turn 7. Not quite close enough for a lunge there. That's not the optimal place to overtake, which would be more down into turn 1, but we've seen a few there. Eastwood not fancying it on that go.
Lap 8 of 10. Dillman still leading, 1.5 seconds clear of Neel Jani. 3rd is Davison. 4th is Charlie Eastwood as they come into the final sector. Looks as though Broadbent is just a little too far back at the moment from Smith, about half a second. Needs to be a couple of tenths closer to get the proper run down into the first corner, which this man Charlie Eastwood might be able to do here as they come out over the start-finish straight. James Davison now sticking a weave in to try and make Eastwood lose the slipstream. Here they come down into turn 1, and does Eastwood fancy it? I think he does. Up the inside comes Charlie Eastwood, and that's 3rd place. Nice clean move.
Yeah, Davison didn't want that to happen, but in the end didn't fight it too hard either once Eastwood was on the inside. Nice move from Charlie Eastwood. He's had good pace because he was outside of the top 5 earlier on. Benefited from the chaos with Montoya and Ed Jones early on, and now he's up into 3rd, having a really, really strong drive.
So Charlie Eastwood in 3rd place, James Davison in 4th. Oh, is Broadbent having a go further back? Well, Davison's having a go. Oh, that's a bold one late in the day from Davison. Managed to keep it in there around the outside, did Charlie Eastwood, and hold on to that 3rd spot. It's also really close between Broadbent and Smith behind in the fight that sort of really matters, because that is the one to get into the top 5. The race leader Dillman. This is actually the penultimate lap, isn't it? Yeah, lap 9 of 10. So is this going to be the last chance, really, for Davison and Eastwood and for Broadbent and Smith to make a move? It's going to be the last run down to turn 1.
It is. Davison's close. Broadbent has just dropped away. He looked like he got really close into turn 7, but I think made a mistake again. Not a huge one, but it's dropped him a couple of tenths further back. This is close though for third. Again, Eastwood this time doing the big weave defence.
Tried to find the inside there, Davison. Has to go to the outside. Late on the brakes, turns in. The two go wheel to wheel through turn 2. Davison's got it. Really good stuff. Davison up into third place. Charlie Eastwood drops to 4th. Here's Tom Dillman, the race leader. Very quiet race for him. 2.3 seconds ahead of Neel Jani in 2nd. Then this is the 3rd and 4th place fight between Davison and Charlie Eastwood. As they get onto the brakes into turn 7. Broadbent closing in, but I don't think he's going to quite have enough coming into turn 7. Kind of feels like any chance now for Broadbent. He's, got to try and take it. It's all or nothing really for this last half a lap. But there's not really a chance, I don't think, anymore for Jimmy Broadbent.
Just seeping away, isn't it? The gap stayed the same, but that one mistake seems to have just dropped him out of the real slipstream zone. And sadly, it looks like he's just going to miss out.
There you can see the battle for 3rd in the top right. Very close between Davison and Eastwood, but not very close for the race win. Tom Dillman, who missed out on qualifying in his heat, has booked himself a place in the final in the last chance qualifier. Neel Jani across the line in 2nd position. 3rd is going to be Davison, just about. Charlie Eastwood in 4th place, less than a tenth of a second between them. Bradley Smith in 5th position, so Jimmy Broadbent misses out on the final by 8 tenths of a second. Definitely not last though. Nick De Vries 7th, Nick Cassidy 8th, 9th for James Headley, 10th for Sebas Montoya right at the line. And so Dillman books his place in the final. Jani, Davison, Eastwood, Smith all going through. And here's a look at the results. Neel Jani in 2nd place, then James Davison 3rd, Eastwood and Smith the top 5 that will go through to the final, which will be getting underway pretty shortly, to be honest with you. Jimmy Broadbent just missing out in 6th position. Then a lot of retirements. Tony Kanaan coming across the line in 16th place. Krista Dulu not making the finish. Steve Alvarez-Brown not making the finish. The same is true of Nico Hulkenberg, Antonio Felix da Costa, Callum Ilot, Jann Mardenborough, and Ed Jones. So wasn't quite as raucous as I thought it was going to be, that race.
Is Ed Jones the unluckiest driver of the day? Disconnected race 1 and then just a victim of Montoya's mistake, really, in race 2.
I wonder if he got another disco, Lap 7 of 10.
He was actually back in the top 10 and then vanished.
I think Ed Jones could have had another disconnect. That's why you Ethernet, boys and girls. Maybe it wasn't his Wi-Fi. Maybe the Wi-Fi didn't drop out. I don't know. But you want stable internet, you've got to Ethernet. That should be like the advertising slogan for the Ethernet.
Oh, was that not?
No.
You did that just off the cuff. Oh, right. I thought this had taken a turn.
Cheese. It's milk that you chew. Let's have a look at the...
What's happened here?
You get that reference, though, surely? No. Come on, it's Friends. Here's a look at the replays of that last chance qualifier. Neel Jani getting away well. Montoya and Dillman getting in the wall together on the run down towards the first corner, but Jani held the place. Dillman got up into 2nd place with Montoya in 3rd. Look how sideways Montoya got at that first corner. It was amazing that he was even able to continue. And then Dillman got at the inside of Jani, and that was that really for the top 2 anyway.
Yeah, and again, that was sensible from Jani because he didn't need to fight Dillman, and the 2 of them got through. That was Montoya losing it in a battle with Davison, and then Ed Jones whacking him, and the 2 of them basically effectively out in that moment.
That had promoted Jimmy Broadbent up into 4th. He then lost out to Charlie Eastwood and would then have a fight with Bradley Smith for the rest of the race. And there was just that one lockup that got him on the grass, and that's where it slipped away. That's what Jimmy Broadbent will be kicking himself about when he goes to bed tonight. And Charlie Eastwood and James Davison swapping places over 3rd position. But it was Tom Dillman who came through with a commanding victory, 2.7 seconds ahead of Neel Jani. So those were our 5 drivers that will go through to the final. So we've got our grid of 20 all set to go to try and win the Race Esports Battle Round 2. Let's check in with Bradley Smith, who was the last of our qualifiers in that, 5th place. Bradley, how was that for you? He says it was great. and he's very happy to be here.
And he wants to thank the fans.
Yeah,
they were great.
Best fans in the world. So we'll try and get a chat with Bradley Smith. Oh, let's try again. Bradley, can you hear us?
I can indeed. How are we doing?
Oh, good. That was intense stuff, and you're through to the final.
Yeah, I tell you what, that's probably the hardest race I think I've ever had in my years of racing. Feel so bad for Jimmy, obviously knocking him out the final. But no, great race.
Not bad enough to let him go through, though.
No, exactly. I'm going to hang on to that if I can.
Now, we're settled. Do you remember racing against Jolyon Palmer in the Minimax Bayford Meadows Winter Series?
I do indeed.
Yes!
Yeah, there's actually quite a few of us that went on to be really good in cars. And yeah, we had some really close battles.
Apparently you lost the championship to him. Is that correct?
Yeah, unfortunately.
The last round, right, it got snowed off. And I think Bradley must have been in the mix to win it. There was a few people that were quite quick. I was getting a little bit heavy at this stage. My pace, it was after Christmas, right? So my pace was dropping off. Woke up Sunday morning thinking the title was at stake. Snowed off.
So you just won
Palmer's champion. Sorry, Bradley.
Palmer champion by default. What do you think you can do in the final, Bradley?
I'm going to avoid the T1 carnage, sit back and try and pick our way through. But obviously there's a few of the proper sim racer guys in this one now, so it's going to be tough. How
long have you been sort of sim racing and stuff? Is this a new venture for you, or have you been doing it for years?
Yeah, so I've just set up my simulator company, 21 Performance. But I mean, I started actually on the sim stuff. It got me done. Before I actually made the move to cars. And, especially nowadays, it's just so useful. You can pound around and get hundreds of laps in before you've even gone to a track.
Great. Well, best of luck and, enjoy the final.
Thank you very much.
So that's Bradley Smith, who finished in 5th place and is now advancing through to the final, where everybody is getting ready to take part in the final. Looking forward to this one. And we can have a look at some of the drivers getting ready. I think Stoffel Vandoorne is just getting set in his house as he gets ready to go. Let's have a look and see if we can see Stoffel there. Yep, he's all set, ready to go, having a little chat on TeamSpeak.
I love that setup. How
Nice and
basic
simple,
it is
yeah.
now. Yeah, simple but effective.
James Baldwin here, getting a few laps of practice in, taking it very seriously. Got all the Veloce branding in the right places, hasn't he? The driver. Oh, gloves off. Where's he going?
Oh.
Where's he going? James, you got a race to do.
Quick media commitments, maybe.
Yeah, I think he's boxing.
Last little snack. Maybe the national anthem. All the usual pre-race drama before this final.
Here's Rudy Van Buren getting some racing in as well. Oh, if only I could read what's there on the left-hand side. Apologies if there's any swear words on there, but there we go. Let's go to Rene Butler, shall we, and see how he's doing. Rene, first of all, have you enjoyed your day? Have you had a nice day?
Definitely. I mean, there's a lot of racing going on, and we saw good heat races. We saw great LCQ, I would say. There was a lot of fighting going on. We had, I would say, one major fighting group on every single heat where no one knew what the outcome would be, and I absolutely enjoyed that, sure.
Qualifying is going to be intense for this one, isn't it? What lap time are you expecting for pole? Let's do that. Let's guess the lap time for pole position, only to the nearest 100th.
And who's going to get it?
Yeah, and who's going to get it? Okay, I'll write these down. Okay, so Rene, you can go first.
Oh, of course, great. Kevin Siggy.
Yeah.
They did 119, I think, in the heat, right? I think he will do 189.
Whoa! No. Okay, 1 minute 18.9 says Rene.
That's bold.
For Kevin Siggy.
A monster of a lap that would be.
Palmer.
I'm also going Siggy, my favourite, and I'm going 19.2. I think he's just going to nudge a 19.2, and that'll be enough for pole.
19.2.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to go for... Who am I even going to go for? I'm going to stick with Rosenqvist, I reckon Rosenqvist will do a 19.4, and that'll be enough. I reckon people are going to fluff it.
Ooh, under pressure.
In the comments on YouTube, let us know what you think. Yeah, about the pole position and who's going to get pole position and the lap times. Rene, this race is going to be seriously intense, isn't it? Because I think up until now, if you're in the top 5, you're through. You're sort of all right. But now it's just every position counts.
Definitely. Before that, top 5, you know that. And what also changed is the sim racers had their own prize pool, right, in the sim racing heat. So now going into the grand final, it's really all about bragging rights for after in the social media life on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you can go to actually say, hey, I beat that guy. I was quicker than that guy, right? We had that already in the chat. I saw that every single time Jimmy was on. It was like, oh, Jimmy's in front of this driver and that driver, and the same for Super GT, obviously, who has a great and huge community out there. And it will be interesting to see now how the gap closed, because we know from the real races how much they have practiced. Like, some of them might play it cool and say they just had a bit of laps. But this week, I can tell you a lot of them spent most of the time in the sim rig practicing for this. So I think the gap got very, very small, if there is a gap at all. So it'll be interesting who comes out on top.
I think it's been amazing how... Are you surprised that the pro drivers are this much more in the mix compared to last week? Or am I about to be proved wrong by that?
No, I don't think so. Normally, I say it's a bit easy to go from a sim to a real car, right? Since you add inputs while driving, while on the other way around, you actually deduct inputs for your driving. But still, their hand-eye coordination is impressive. They know exactly how to actually tackle a turn and how to get around a track. So with a bit of adaptation, basically, and a bit of time, they can be as quick as the best sim racers in the world. I'm absolutely sure about that. So maybe another week, we basically talk about... just whoever is the best, not anymore if it's a real driver or a sim driver, because I'm pretty sure that these guys will all be on the same level in just a few days.
Yeah, absolutely. Stoffel Vandoorne was certainly very impressive as well. Maybe I should have gone for Vandoorne.
He didn't win his heat, though, did he?
No, I know, but he's a nice boy. He's a nice guy. Why has that caused silence? Okay. Right, Rene, thank you very much, and we will speak to you in a bit. Enjoy the race, because we will be going to qualification in a couple of minutes. Make sure, if you're enjoying this race here on the YouTube, make sure you like and subscribe for more content from the race, because they've got all sorts of good stuff on there. At We Are The Race on social media, i.e. Twitter and Instagram, if you want to follow there and keep up to date. Because the race actually covers esports racing. There was a race from the first GPVWC round the other day. They're going to be covering all the esports that will no doubt be coming up, which will definitely be coming up in the coming weeks. So now we have got qualifying underway for the final. The cars are out on their outlap, and it's going to be very, very intense to see what happens here. And let's go see who's out there on the circuit, shall we? This is Felix Rosenqvist just leaving the pit lane. One thing that has been said, do not use the oval on your outlap. You can't use the oval to then gain a load more speed to then start your flying lap. So
cunning, that would be. Arrive at the start-finish line with another 30 kph at least if you just blat it around the oval instead of doing turns 12 and 13. And, well, that will be DQ if that happens. So I expect everyone's seen the message and won't be doing that. This is going to be highly contested, isn't it? This is your favourite.
Felix Rosenqvist. Yep, I've got him down for pole position on a 1 minute 19.4. Rene has gone for Kevin Siggy on a 1 minute 18.9. Palmer has gone for Kevin Siggy as well on a 1 minute 19.2. Here comes Rosenqvist then. Through the right and the left. 12 and 13, then through the right-hander of 14, and out to start his pole position lap, I reckon. But it'll be a qualifying lap, whatever happens, before the final race in the Race's All-Star Esports Challenge, this second round here at the Indianapolis road course, past the Jones soda signs, and down into turn 1 comes Felix Rosenqvist. Onto the brakes, into the right-hander. We got on board with him up at the top. Rosenqvist, who was the top driver last week, the top pro driver last week, he pushed the likes of Bono Huis and Olli Pakala hard for the win in the Visa Vegas E-Race a few years ago. What a great event that was. I enjoyed that. No offence coming to this studio with you, Palmer, but going to Vegas was, for a weekend, was a bit of fun to do a sim race.
Yeah, no offence taken.
No, good. Dani Juncadella as well. I haven't really mentioned him much, but he was up there in that fight in the first heat.
Yeah, he was with Rosenqvist, wasn't he? And James Baldwin. The three of them were all running together until Baldwin and Juncadella had a little tussle towards the end. Here we go. Rosenqvist then coming round in towards turn 12. Last couple of corners. So much pressure when you think you've done a good lap and you come to the last section not to miss an apex locker break. or run wide, scrabbling for the power. That looked pretty neat from Rosenqvist. Here we go, the run to the line. A first look at a lap time.
So Felix Rosenqvist does, 1 minute 19.7. A long, long way away from my prediction. What can Kevin Siggy do? He goes second on a 1 minute 19.592. Sebastian Job is quicker. Juncadella is the quickest of the pro drivers at the moment, only 2/10 away from pole position. Juncadella and Philipp Eng have done exactly the same lap time. It's like Jerez 97 all over again. And here's Nuno Pinto, who squeezed in the sim race with a 6th place. Rosenqvist all the way down in 8th position. Look how tight it is. Less than 2/10, 1st to 7th. And not everyone's done their lap yet.
Super, super close, that is. Has Van Buren come through? Because he was
5th.
Quick, yeah, he's 5th already, but only a 10th and a half away. I mean, it's just so close. At the moment, it's Job v Siggy, which was Heat 3, the battle for the win. But Juncadella and Eng, really good job from them, 6th and 7th, and ahead of Rosenqvist.
Let's see what Pinto does here, because if he can get into the top 5, it will be top 5 for the sim, and he goes 3rd. So it is just the top 5 from the sim racing heat. Job, Siggy, Pinto, Yayovsky and Capit, but 200ths stopped Rudy Van Buren getting in there, 300ths stopped Juncadella getting in there, so that is super tight. The top 11 covered by 0.3 of a second. The top 11.
Rosenqvist goes second.
Rosenqvist goes second on a 1 minute 19.5. So what, has he done another lap?
Yeah, Siggy's just gone to the top as well on a 19.3. There's more laps coming in.
Yeah.
Van Buren up to 3rd.
So we got more laps coming in, and Siggy quickest on a 19.3, as you say. Job 2nd, Van Buren 3rd, Rosenqvist 4th, Pinto 5th, Yayovsky 6th. And I was not expecting that, to be honest with you. We'll see what happens if those lap times remain, but I thought it was a one-lapper.
No, I thought it was a one-lapper, to be fair.
Like all the other races.
Yep, Rosenqvist has done 2, Siggy's done 2, Van Buren has managed to get up to 3rd as well, so a little surprise.
Yeah.
But Siggy for pole.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought it?
And
1/10,
you said,
I know.
So Palmer predicted Kevin Siggy on pole on a 1 minute 19.2. He's done it on a 1 minute 19.3. So we'll go through the grid when the race gets underway in a little bit of time. And let's go. Tom Dillman, I don't think qualified. Down in 20th place. I don't think Dillman got a lap in the end for some reason. Won his heat, but or won that last chance qualifier, but hasn't managed to qualify.
So he was quick in his heat as well, wasn't he? He didn't qualify only behind Rudy Van Buren in heat 2. So Dillman there potentially a little bit down on where he could have been.
So here's a look at the grid for the RaceAll-Star Esport battle. Kevin Siggy on pole position, Sebastian Job alongside him on the front row of the grid. Rudy Van Buren in 3rd, Felix Rosenqvist 4th. 5th is Nuno Pinto. 6th is Erhan Yayovsky. 7th is Risto Capit. Dani Juncadella is in 8th position. Behind them on the grid, we now get into our pro racing drivers with Philipp Eng in 9th, Nicki Thiim completing the top 10. James Baldwin, winner of the 2nd iteration of the World's Fastest Gamer, starts in 11th place, just ahead of Stoffel Van Dorn, the Mercedes Formula 1 reserve driver and Mercedes Formula E driver. Wolfgang Reip, former winner of the Nissan GT Academy, is in 13th place, ahead of Ross Gunn, former British GT champion. Charlie Eastwood, current World Endurance Championship leader, is in 15th on the grid, ahead of Neel Jani, the 2016 Le Mans 24-hour winner. James Davison, IndyCar races, in 17th. Max Günther, youngest winner in the history of Formula E, is in 18th position. Bradley Smith, former karting rival with Jolyon Palmer, is in 19th on the grid. Tom Dillman, GP2 race winner, completes the 20 drivers. This is it. The RaceAll-Star Esports battle is about to have its grand final in Indianapolis. Siggy on pole, Job 2nd, Van Buren and Rosenqvist the 2nd row as the race gets underway. Pretty decent start. Once again, the top 4 all trying to get in one line as they come down into towards turn 1. Yayovsky's got a good getaway and might be able to get up the inside of Rosenqvist as they come into the right-hander. They all spread out, and Siggy, is he going to get done around the outside? No, Rudy Van Buren's in 2nd place. Someone's gone off across the grass, but 3rd is Sebastian Job. Nicki Thiim is getting involved in the fight as well. In fact, I think Thiim was the one who went onto the grass. Siggy almost gets hit by Van Buren. Sebastian Job in there behind in 3rd position. 4th is Pinto. 5th is Felix Rosenqvist as they come down towards turn 7 for the first time.
I think there was a tiny bit of contact between Van Buren and Siggy. He did a great move, Van Buren, on Job at turn 1. Not quite on Siggy, but he's having a go here on the outside. That's not going to work. Looks for the switchback. Look how close he is down to turn 8 now. Still so tight. Van Buren very, very aggressive here.
Kevin Siggy leading the way, 2 tenths ahead of Rudy Van Buren in second position. Third is Sebastian Job, fourth is Pinto, fifth is Felix Rosenqvist. And we're on board in the top right with Rudy Van Buren in second place, but when they come out onto the start-finish straight, they're all so close. This is going to be slipstream chaos.
I think Van Buren's going to be very tight. Siggy got a little bit wide into turn 12 that lap, and Van Buren's going to be very close with the slipstream for the lead.
Through they come onto the banking. This is a 20-lap race, this one, so double the length of the other races we've seen. Siggy's leading, but here comes Rudy Van Buren to the outside, onto the brakes into turn 1. Can Van Buren take the lead? He can indeed. Very late on the brakes for Pinto as he goes up the inside of Sebastian Job, takes third place. Job's on the grass, comes back on. Little nudge, I think, with Rosenqvist. That means Rosenqvist is under pressure from Jajowski and might well lose out to Juncadella in all of this as well. But Rudy Van Buren is in the lead. Siggy in second, Pinto third, Job fourth. Everybody cutting the chicane behind as Philip Eng gets ahead of Felix Rosenqvist now on the run down again into turn 7.
Yeah, Rosenqvist unlucky there. That was Pinto a bit ambitious again on Job into turn 1. And Rosenqvist nowhere to go when he came through turn 1. Ended up getting hit, bolt, and lost a couple of places. Just past Eng again, but Juncadella now is the main beneficiary of that, up into 5th place.
There's the replay in the top right of Rudy Van Buren taking the lead away from Kevin Siggy. Pinto in 3rd position. Sebastian Job there in 4th spot at the moment. 5th is Juncadella. 6th is Rosenqvist. In fact, there's a bit of a gap, isn't there, from the top 4 back to Rosenqvist and Juncadella in 5th and 6th. Rosenqvist might get a run here, though, on Juncadella, because Juncadella might be a little bit too far back from Job to get the slipstream. Rosenqvist in the green car, trying to get past Dani Juncadella down into turn 1. 2 Formula 3 European champions going wheel to wheel, and Rosenqvist got that done quite easily.
Yeah, nicely done there. Again, Juncadella didn't really fight that too hard, and they've got to try and bridge that gap to the top 4 now. He's got 1.4 seconds, 1.5 seconds, Rosenqvist to Job, and that's because of all the melee that happened just a moment before when Job went for the move on, I can't remember who it was, for 4th position. But that's opened the gap anyway from the top 4 to the rest. Here goes Siggy for the race lead on Van Buren.
Oh, that was tight. And that allows Pinto to get right into the back of them, actually, doesn't it?
Yeah, and it's going to bulk them all if they start having this ding-dong back into the likes of Job and maybe even Rosenqvist and the guys further back. This is the slipstream battle that we thought could happen. It has been happening to an extent in the heat. Now for the final, big lock-up from Siggy into 12. That could put him on the back foot. It will put him on the back foot because Pinto's really, really close, and now they're going to unleash onto the long straight. Siggy's going to be looking at his mirrors.
Here they come out through turn 14 and onto the famous Indianapolis banking once more. Rudy Van Buren is leading the way as they start lap 4 of 20. 4 tenths ahead of Siggy in second, Pinto third, Job in 4th. Don't think anyone's going to make a move this time. Not quite. But they've all closed right back in together, haven't they?
Yeah, Job is right with the top 3 again now. There was a bit of a gap, but that's come down to nothing. Well, Pinto's past Job. And the top 4 all running together within basically a second. Nothing to separate them. As Van Buren actually just starting to get his head down and trying to eke out that gap. But with the slipstream, they should all close up, so long as Siggy doesn't have to defend it from Pinto.
Here they come onto the brakes into turn 7. Long race, this one. Remember, 20 laps as opposed to 10 laps from previous races. Felix Rosenqvist has made a bit of a gap in 5th position, 4 tenths ahead of Dani Juncadella. Eng, Capit, Jajowski, Baldwin the top 10. Stoffel Van Dorn is in 11th position ahead of Neel Jani. Dillman's managed to climb up to 13th, having started in last place. We're on board in the top right with Sebastian Job in 4th position. So close between these top 4. Then there's that little gap back, some 1.8 seconds to Felix Rosenqvist in 5th place. Now we're on board with Job in the top right as they come out onto the start-finish straight again. Just in a bit of a slipstream queue at the moment. No one quite close enough. to make a move. There's a bit of action further back as someone pulls out.
Capit maybe went past Eng there. Capit trying to make up for a bit of lost ground at the start, up into 7th place. Siggy closing slightly on Van Buren. The gap just nudged under 4/10 into turn 1. That was with the slipstream. He's got to keep it neater through the middle section. Then he'll get the slipstream again at the end of the lap.
Now, what do we got here? Philip Eng in front of Erhan Yujovski as they come down into the left-hander. In fact, Eng is trying to get past Capit. Those were the two we saw battling in the background a couple of moments ago. Might go 3 wide here. Not quite. Capit holds the inside. Eng goes all the way around the outside. Former Porsche Super Cup champion Philip Eng slots his way into 7th position, and now Capit is going to be under big pressure from Yujovski. Yujovski himself is getting attacked by James Baldwin. Couldn't quite make the move.
Lovely stuff. Eng around the outside at turn 12. We've seen that move happen. You get the outside for turn 12, you get the inside for 13, and these guys having a nice fight here for 7th place. Juncadella and Rosenqvist just able to escape a little bit out of their grasp, but Eng keeping Capit and Yujovski behind, which is a very good effort.
Still the top 4 remaining the same on the run down towards the first corner. No moves being made there. Then you've got Rosenqvist and Juncadella that have split up a little bit. Risto Capit now to the inside of Philip Eng. And he's through. So this is some sort of classic slipstream action here, isn't it? With Erhan Yujovski there in 9th place in the purple car, trying to get ahead of the grey and red machine of Philip Eng. As they come through the right-hander of turn 4. Then the quick flick left and right at 5 and 6. I don't remember that being a thing in the F1 days. That feels new.
That's changed as well, hasn't it? I think 5, and it was more of a sweeper into 6 back then rather than a quick flick through a quick chicane. That was a good 13 years ago, I guess.
Yeah. Rudy Van Buren leading the way. Half a second ahead of Kevin Siggy. Nuno Pinto is in 3rd position. 4th is Sebastian Job. Those 4 are still right together, but no moves being made, as opposed to here, where it's all kicking off behind Yujovski as Philip Eng tries to find a way through, and James Baldwin tries to get through. Oh, no. The two hit each other. Baldwin going into the side of Philip Eng, and you could see from a million miles away that move wasn't really on.
No, that was a bit overzealous there from Baldwin. Yujovski had passed Eng, and Baldwin there going for a move that probably a move shouldn't really have happened, just sticking a nose in and clipping Eng round. So that was a good drive from Philip Eng, but now down.
The battle for 3rd place is starting to kick off. There was the look again, and he was just a bit too far back, wasn't he? And lost a couple of places there. Philip Eng down into 10th place behind Stoffel Van Dorn. But the battle for 3rd is very close. Nuno Pinto is in 3rd place at the moment, but Sebastian Job is right behind him as they come down into the left-hander of turn 7. But doesn't quite make the move, but there is nothing between them. So we'll try and get a look at that battle for 3rd before too long. There's the replay on board as well from Baldwin.
Yeah, not really committed enough there. If he'd have really committed, it might have been possible, but it was just a half-hearted attempt at a corner. I don't think Eng was expecting it, so that caused the collision. They both dropped down.
Here's the battle then up at the front. This is the battle for 3rd place. Sebastian Job in the black and silver car, right behind the green machine of Nuno Pinto. They've actually just spread out a little bit as they come through the right-hander and out onto the banking. Down towards turn 1. Can Job get the slipstream here? He's only 0.3 of a second away as they get onto the brakes for turn 1. Does he fancy it? Shows his nose. Oh, not quite enough. They're so close, these top 4. Any mistake and someone will be ready to take advantage.
Yeah, the problem they've got for Job in 4th is that Pinto's got the slipstream from Siggy, and Siggy in turn has the slipstream from Van Buren. So unless Siggy can start attacking Van Buren, they're all in a bit of a slipstream train. We're used to a DRS train in Formula 1, but this is the equivalent. The slipstream is huge, but when they've all got it, that effect is negated.
So we are on lap 8 of 20. And it's very close up at the front. Rudy Van Buren, Kevin Siggy, Nuno Pinto and Sebastian Job are the top 4. Let's check in with René Butler, who is our sim racing expert here. René, this is a classic race between these top 4, isn't it? No one's overtaking anyone yet, but we've got a long way to go.
Yeah, the slipstream battle is definitely on, and obviously the group will now pull away from the main group and from the midfield, basically. And in the midfield back then, you can see that the real racers probably now start struggling a bit because they're not used to the tire wear compared to the other drivers, right? So while they might have picked up on hot lap time because they were put in practice to actually be faster, we will see that the experts in rFactor 2 obviously have way more experience with longer runs on the sim here.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so interesting to see the battles change. Thank you for that, Rennie, because now Nuno Pinto is close to the back of Kevin Siggy. And Jimmy Broadbent's in the chat. Thanks for joining us, Jimmy Broadbent, in the chat. Lap 9 of 20. Van Buren leading. Siggy now is going to be the man under pressure from Nuno Pinto. We're on board with Nuno Pinto up in the top right. Pulls out of the slipstream, which is a little bit surprising, but just wants to show his nose to Siggy in second.
Yep. Just distraction tactics as well, because Siggy so far has been unflappable, under a lot of pressure, as is Pinto, with Job just behind him. They're all running very, very equidistant at a good pace with no mistakes. It's impressive level of driving here, and Pinto just trying to do everything he can to try and put Siggy off. He was kind of too far back there into turn 7 to make any move on the inside, but flash of the nose, just a bit of distraction, can force your rival into a bit of a braking error, brake too late, brake too early, whichever way, and you're right on the tail for this part, the long straight. It hasn't worked though. Siggy's still got that pretty much a half a second buffer.
No, thank you, Jimmy, for racing. There we go. We've thanked each other enough now. Lap 10 of 20. Down into turn 1 come the top 4 again. Rudy Van Buren with Kevin Siggy in second, Pinto in third, Job in fourth. And
Rosenqvist and Juncadella having a little bit of a moment. I think Rosenqvist maybe defending slightly from Juncadella behind. That's only half a second in it for 5th place. The 2 pro racers, the lead pro racers, doing a good job.
I think Jofsky might have just got ahead of Capit for the battle in 7th position. Rudy Van Buren still leading, 3/10 ahead of Kevin Siggy. As they get onto the brakes into the left-hander, Stoffel Vandoorne running in 9th place at the moment. There we go. This is on board with him, and this is what he's streaming. This is what he's seeing as he comes down into the left-hander of turn 7.
He needs his upgrade package, doesn't he, from Mercedes?
Yeah, he certainly does.
Normally so good with their upgrades as well. Always on time, efficient for the last 5 or 6 years, but now Vandoorne joins the team, bemoans them straight away.
What would you do if you saw Vandoorne just pulling the steering wheel towards it and then like pushing it away down the straight?
And finding a load of pace with it, or not, who knows? That would be a true upgrade package for Mercedes. That'll be on the new one that comes, won't it?
Yeah. Lap 11 of 20. Rudy Van Buren leading the way, half a second ahead of Kevin Siggy. There is Stoffel Vandoorne in a fairly lonely 9th place, actually. And Siggy and Pinto are battling in 2nd and 3rd and 4th. So Siggy's still in 2nd place, but Pinto had just got in front, and now there's the look on the inside from Sebastian Job from a long way back. Can he get him into 3rd place at turn 4? Pinto holds it around the outside. Huge chunk of curb taken by Kevin Siggy. All this means that Van Buren's got a 2nd lead up at the front. Job looking for the inside, finds the inside on the run down into 7. Doesn't quite have the straight line speed, but now he's late on the brakes and he's through. Sebastian Job up into 3rd place. Crazy late on the brakes. Good stuff.
Yeah, really good there from Job. Super commitment. Nearly wiped out the side of Siggy as well. He was so deep on the brakes. Pinto at the slipstream from the 2 in front. Job didn't want to go to the inside until the last moment, then he did. Super commitment, and that overtake was a few corners in the making. Finally, he's up to 3rd. He's got to try and survive this next straight, though, because Pinto's going to try and come straight back at him.
Lap 11 of 20. Rudy Van Buren's checking out now.
Yeah, Job just checked out at turn 13 there. Massive oversteer. And this is going to be Pinto's chance. Straight back.
Down the start-finish straight. Pinto, which way is he going to go? He finds the inside line, and he got the slipstream so early, he might be ahead by the time they get to the braking zone. Nuno Pinto up the inside. Job fancies it. Round the outside at turn 1, and he's still got the inside for 2, and they're round! Pinto survives, Job's facing the wrong way, and Rosenqvist is up into 4th place, and Sebastian Job's in the gravel trap. He might be stuck, and his race might be over.
Aggression a little bit far there. The 2 of them side by side, big squeezes on both ways, and it's Job that's come off worst. Nice fight for a while, but he made a big mistake at turn 13. He rear-ended it in, looked like he just went in too deep on a corner where the exit is so crucial. that allowed Pinto a brilliant look up the inside, and then I don't think really Job should have tried to hold it like that, turn in regardless. I think the place was kind of done, and he's out of the race.
Rudy Van Buren leading the way then, 1.4 seconds ahead of Kevin Siggy in second place. Then it's 1.7 seconds back to this man, Nuno Pinto, in third position. Then we've got Rosenqvist and Juncadella having a great fight, as they did in their heat actually, over fourth spot at the moment. Only 4.5 seconds away from Rudy Van Buren, the race leader.
Yeah, in Pinto's fight with Job as well, they're only half a second away from a place on the podium, Rosenqvist and Juncadella, so doing a really good job. Can Pinto try and get back to Siggy and Van Buren, or can Rosenqvist try and get back to Pinto, who at the moment is having a little bit of a lonely race for that last lap at least, in third place, with a bit of a gap ahead and a bit of a gap behind.
Pinto has had a few collisions over the course of the day, hasn't he? Because I think he got involved with Jimmy Broadbent and Montoya. Was that Pinto with Montoya? Maybe not. Maybe that's not true.
But there was someone in his heat. Pinto. That was a little bit again on the inside, but I think he had that corner, to be honest. I think that was Job not knowing when he'd lost the fight, and was the master of his own downfall on that one.
Pinto been in the wars today. It's Pinto beans. They're a thing, aren't they? Have I made them up?
I don't know.
A pinto bean's a thing. It's a bean.
I believe you. It probably is. It's not a bean that I often use.
What's your favourite bean?
I wish I had more than a baked bean come to my mind right now.
Come on, that's embarrassing. Lap 14 of 20. Rudy Van Buren.
Runner bean.
Fine. Is leading the race, 1.6 seconds ahead of Kevin Siggy. Here's Yayovsky and Capit, who are still fighting each other very hard over sixth position. Yayovsky has the spot at the moment. Capit in 7th position. And then it's Van Dorn in 8th, Baldwin 9th, Max Günther in 10th, Neel Jani here in 12th position, up behind Bradley Smith with 13th Eastwood, 14th is Wolfgang Reip. Then we've got Dillman, Eng and Gunn, the top 17. I feel like Dillman, Eng and Gunn have all had their own dramas. So that's why they're not really in the fight. As we're on lap 14 of 20. Jani up ahead of Charlie Eastwood, who's under pressure from Wolfgang Reip as they come into the right-hander of turn 8. Rudy Van Buren the leader, 1.6 seconds ahead of Kevin Siggy, with Nuno Pinto in 3rd, Felix Rosenqvist in 4th. A lot of you saying Mr. Bean is your favourite bean.
I just wasn't prepped with beans, to be fair.
No, but you got to think on your feet, Palmer.
And I didn't. I failed on that one. Mr. Bean would be my...
Is he your favourite bean?
Oh, he's a bean for the ages.
He's a classic bean. Who's that going into the pits? Was that Charlie Eastwood, or was that someone running further back? Job is out of the race, by the way. He got stuck in the gravel trap and couldn't continue. It is Charlie Eastwood coming into the pits. So Charlie Eastwood into the pit lane for some reason. I wonder if he's under-fueled it, potentially, because it was suddenly a 20-lap race instead of a 10-lap race. Neel Jani got caught out with that last time with the lap being longer, so I wonder if that's a fuel stop for Charlie Eastwood. Just trying to look, but I can't see his dashboard. So a shame for Charlie, because he's had a good race out there and a good weekend, day, whatever.
We're a bit equidistant out the front now, aren't we? Van Buren's shaken off Siggy, who's shaken off Pinto. 1.6 seconds the gap at the front, 2 seconds further back to Pinto. And Rosenqvist is still only 1.4 away from Pinto. So that's actually the closest battle for 3rd place of the top runners, and Juncadella is going with him. 4th and 5th still running together. Can they, in the last few laps, with a bit of tyre wear, as we heard from Rene earlier on, how's that going to play out? Can Rosenqvist get nearer to Pinto? 1.2 seconds now.
Rudy Van Buren leading the way, 1.5 seconds ahead. Here comes Risto Capit up the inside. Is he going to go? Not quite close enough. Dani Juncadella there, still in 5th position. With Felix Rosenqvist in 4th place. Jajowski in 6th, Capit 7th, 8th for Van Dorn, 9th for Baldwin, 10th for Max Günther. Juncadella will want to beat Rosenqvist. That, you know, first of the pro drivers' bragging rights, I think will be quite a big one.
Definitely, and it's one that Rosenqvist had last week. We had Max Verstappen in last week, but Rosenqvist managed to beat him in the final. Juncadella didn't really. Did he even make the final last week, Juncadella? I'm not sure if he had a bit of action in the heat and didn't quite make it. He certainly didn't feature with Rosenqvist. Big improvement this week, and he's still half a second behind, but not able to quite make Felix defend. Rosenqvist is slowly getting closer to Pinto, and he might start picking up a slipstream soon.
Some of you think Sean Bean is better than Mr. Bean.
Oh, come on.
Come on.
A great Bean.
Good Bean. No, good Bean. He's not a goat bean, though, is he? As
Sean
in greatest
Bean,
of all time Bean is a goat bean.
Edard Stark.
Is that the
if
thing
you can
with the
extrapolate,
dragons?
that makes him a very good Bean, but still not Mr. Bean.
Rudy Van Buren leading the way. Kevin Siggy in 2nd place. Running in 9th place is James Baldwin. There he is. You can see the world's fastest gamer winner, running there in 9th position at the moment. As he gets onto the brakes into turn 1, he is a couple of seconds away from Stoffel Van Dorn in their battle in inverted commas over 8th place, just a little bit too far away. Van Buren leading 1.8 seconds ahead of Kevin Siggy. Nuno Pinto in 3rd spot, Felix Rosenqvist in 4th. Charlie Eastwood has retired now, as has Tom Dillman. So Tom Dillman has retired from the race, which is a shame because he was looking pretty strong earlier, and I wonder whether he has had a disconnection as well. Oh no, I'm just looking back at Dillman's replay, and yeah, I think he might have had a disconnection as well, Tom Dillman, so that's a real shame for the Frenchman, who was looking strong at various points throughout the day. Here comes Juncadella again on Rosenqvist, and you know what? They have edged closer, haven't they, to Pinto up in front, and there's only a second between them. Okay, we're starting lap 18 of 20, bit late, but Rosenqvist and Juncadella's pace has been top-notch.
Yeah, and remember they lost ground early on when I think Pinto was involved in another moment early on. I can't remember who with again, but that dropped that gap from the top 4 when Job was there as well to 5th place. Job's now dropped out, but Rosenqvist, since he dropped back early on, his pace has been really, really good.
Angus Martin, Jimmy Broadbean. That's strong. That's strong.
Yep, very good.
Into turn 7, Felix Rosenqvist ahead of Dani Juncadella, and we're on board with the Spaniard, chasing down the Swede as they come into the final part of the lap and the final part of the race. We're on lap 18 of 20, only 2 to go as they will come across the line next time. Juncadella actually looks closer than he's been for a while, but I guess it's at this point where I don't think realistically they've got a chance of getting Pinto, have they? They've closed in, but I can't see Juncadella getting 2 places.
Rosenqvist didn't see the apex at turn 13. Here we go for Juncadella. He's been waiting 18 laps. Finally, he's going to have a chance. Juncadella is going to have to go to the outside, though. Rosenqvist covers the inside.
Oh, he's still trying to find the inside, Juncadella. He's done it. Rosenqvist will be fuming with that one because he's allowed Dani Juncadella to get the inside line and to get up into 4th place. Capit and Jajowski are fighting behind as well. Still Capit in front of Jajowski, and Rosenqvist back up the inside into turn 4. The two still side by side. Now we go to the quick left-right flick of 5 and 6, where Juncadella will then get the slipstream. Can he get the inside line again? Rosenqvist is going to hug that white line the whole way around. They have a bit of contact, I think, on the straight, and Juncadella goes to the outside, and that little nudge, I think, just cost him a tiny bit of straight line speed.
He's only got a couple of corners to wait here if he possibly can, and he's going to get another huge slipstream down towards turn 12 and then turn 1. Here we go. Rosenqvist sliding around quite a lot at the rear end now. Maybe a bit of tyre wear coming in for him. Juncadella is close, but will he have a look here, or will he keep it tidy for turn 1? He's going to keep it tidy. Try and pressurise Rosenqvist, who made a mistake here last lap. That's why they're quite as close as they are. And again, he's a bit wide.
Felix Rosenqvist, as we come around to start the final lap of the race's Esports All-Star Battle. Rosenqvist in 4th place, the IndyCar racer. Just ahead of DTM star Dani Juncadella. Juncadella to the outside, onto the brakes into turn 1. Rosenqvist can't hold the place. And Juncadella's into 4th, but he goes in deep. This is exactly what happened last time.
Here we go. Really good racing again. Rosenqvist came back through at this next corner. This time Juncadella covers it. Just hovers at the apex of turn 3 to not allow Rosenqvist to sniff up the inside. But we've still got, Rosenqvist is going wide there. I think he's lost a bit of pace. He's gone wide to try and keep the speed up. I think he's losing his tyres, you know.
Capit and Yuyovsky are coming as well. Are they going to make a move onto turn 7? A little look from the inside from Yuyovsky, but he's not quite close enough. But Rudy Van Buren, winner of the world's fastest gamer, the first world's fastest gamer, is going to surely seal the win in the second round of the race's All-Star Esports battle. Onto the brakes into the final 2 corners. Only a second and a half ahead of Kevin Siggy, but it's been a very strong race for Van Buren. Those two have driven away at the front from Nuno Pinto in 3rd. Here comes Rudy Van Buren out of the final corner now. And it's a superb victory in the second round of the race All-Star Esports Challenge for Rudy Van Buren. Kevin Siggy 1.5 seconds back at the end. Pinto in 3rd. Juncadella in 4th ahead of Rosenqvist by 0.4 of a second. Risto Capit does hold on to 6th place ahead of Erhan Yuyovsky. James Baldwin in 8th. Stoffel Van Dorn will come across the line in 9th position. 10th for Maxi Günther, just ahead of Bradley Smith. Neel Jani 12th, 13th for Philip Eng. Wolfgang Reip Fried Beans is across the line in 14th position. That was Stuart Riddell that I have to give credit for that one. But Rudy Van Buren taking the win. Kevin Siggy 2nd. Nuno Pinto 3rd, completing the top 3. Again, the pro drivers couldn't quite get in there and mix it with the top sim drivers. Okay, Rosenqvist beat and Juncadella both beat Capit and Yuyovsky, but still the top 3 positions locked out.
I'm so encouraged by them though.
Yeah.
Without losing a little bit early on, I think they could have been right there. If they got into that slipstream battle with the top 3 immediately, their pace was so strong from there on in. And compared to last week, the progress is pretty good.
Tom Dillman, 16th, 17th, Charlie Eastwood. These guys all retired. Sebastian Job and Charlie Eastwood and Nicki Thiim and James Davison. Thank you so much for joining us here today on the race's All-Star Esport Challenge. All-Star Esport Battle, I should say. My apologies. And we will hopefully be bringing you more throughout the course of the year. Don't forget to like and subscribe the YouTube channel and at We Are The Race on social media. But the win for Rudy Van Buren, it was so tight, wasn't it? The top 4 for a lot of that race before Pinto and Sebastian Job started having their fight.
Van Buren didn't start at the front. He had to make it work on track as well. Did a really good job. Made it through past Kevin Siggy, who was my favourite, and had pole position. I thought he was going to walk away with it, but he didn't. Not only did Van Buren pass him, he checked out. He did a really good job.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's head over to TeamSpeak. Someone's there. I didn't quite catch who we've got there. Oh, it's Pinto. Okay, we've got Nuno Pinto, 3rd place finisher. Nuno, congratulations. A great race, great fight. Oh, every time. Every time. We'll try and get Nuno in a couple of moments, but a great result for him in 3rd place. Dani Juncadella in 4th ahead of Felix Rosenqvist. And Rosenqvist has almost been dethroned now by Juncadella as the top pro guy.
Yeah, the two of them definitely a little bit ahead of the rest of the pros. Max Verstappen was meant to be here, had to pull out last minute. Where would he have sat? Because him and Felix were very close last week. But the two of them really impressed with Dani Juncadella. From where he was last week to beating Rosenqvist on the track, some really brilliant racing as well. That's good stuff.
Yeah, I think that was very impressive. And the cars made a big difference, I think, to this race, didn't they? Because the last week we used the Formula One cars of 2012. They had DRS, but there wasn't a huge amount of overtaking opportunity. But you knew with these cars, you had an opportunity.
Yeah, the slipstreaming was the big thing. The track was good for it. You had a long run into turn 12 and then a good run into turn 1. Loads of great racing, and it was a good watch.
Okay, so maybe Nuno Pinto is there now. Nuno, a great race for you.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, how are you?
It was a really good race. Really tough. a lot of fights. I managed to overtake Job, and I tried to overtake Kevin, but he was pretty strong. So I couldn't do anything else.
You had a lot of fights all day, didn't you? Every time we saw you, you were fighting with someone in every race.
Yeah. First with Capit on the first race, and now with Job and Kevin. Yeah.
Talk us
it was
through
a good car to fight wheel to wheel, you know.
Talk us through the fight with Job. No.
Well, I overtook him on the beginning of the race, and then he stood really close to me, and he just kept the pressure on me, and he managed to overtake me when I was trying to overtake Kevin. But on the next braking zone to the first corner, I put my car inside. He shut the door. We touched, and then again on the exit, and we touched again, and his car spun. So.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Nuno, for joining us. Congratulations on your third place. Second place was Kevin Siggy. Kevin, really strong race today, but not quite enough to catch Rudy.
Yeah, no. I screwed up my tires when I was behind him. I was locking up way too much, and right after Nuno tried to make a move around the outside, I lost all the draft, and I just couldn't catch back to him.
Do you think if Nuno hadn't tried that effort, you would have been closer to catching Rudy?
100%. Like the goal was like 9/10, being behind the draft, but because of his move, I lost all of it, and then I just couldn't get it back.
Okay, well, congratulations anyway, Kevin, on your second position. And now let's go to our race winner for round 2 of the RaceAll-Star Esports battle, Rudy Van Buren. Rudy, congratulations. That looked tough, especially the first half of the race. No.
One last time.
Oh, I really thought. It was going so well.
That was almost seamless, wasn't it?
It was going so well. So we'll try and get Rudy Van Buren back on the line. Rudy, are you there?
Yes.
Hey. Okay, so that looked tough, the first half of the race especially.
Yeah. Here were the cars with the draft. It was always going to be difficult. And for me, it was up to the point that P3 would attack, and I shouldn't make a mistake. And that point... It was like 8 laps into the race, and then it was all about just taking the laps off. And me and Kevin were both really similar on pace, I'd say. We both kept each other honest, and it stayed like that till the end.
You started in third place. Well, you looked very, very aggressive early on. How much of that was a tactic to hit the lead early and then try and hold it from there?
Yeah, I think it's always better to be in front and then let the people behind fight and escape, instead of being stuck and seeing P1 escape. So, yeah, it was full on to get to the lead ASAP.
And as a man with experience in both the real life racing world, but coming from the sim racing world, what have you made of the pro drivers' performance? I mean, especially Dani Juncadella and Felix Rosenqvist.
I'd say hats off. In any of these sims, it's important to get seat time, and obviously we got more than them, but they're already closer than last week. So I'd say bring on next week and bring them to the fight.
Okay, fighting talk. Thank you very much, Rudy Van Buren, taking the win, 1.8 seconds ahead of Kevin Siggy in second place. This was the moment, Jolien, with Sebastian Job and Nuno Pinto, wasn't it? Down into turn 1, lap 12 of 20.
Yeah, look, Job is so far up the inside, and yeah, Pinto kept it in. Actually, it was more into turn 2 than I remembered it being. I thought it was more the exit of turn 1, but actually it was just coming a cropper into turn 2, and probably actually 50-50. To be fair on that one.
Okay, and this was Juncadella and Rosenqvist in the closing stages. Great clean racing. I really enjoyed cars going side by side. Everybody was leaving each other plenty of room.
Brilliant racing. And again, these guys, they're not the sim racing regulars. They're pro racing regulars, but they translated that close racing to the sim, which I think is particularly impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've heard the fighting talk from Rudy Van Buren saying that the sim races are getting closer and closer. Bring on next week is his message. We certainly hope to see them all fighting each other out on track. Driver of the day. I'm going to chuck driver of the day at you.
Dani Juncadella.
Yeah?
I think Rudy Van Buren did brilliantly to win it. I think Dani Juncadella to finish 4th, especially from what we saw last week. The progress has been big. Beating Felix Rosenqvist, who was super quick, all 2 weeks of it. I think he was really good. What about you?
I might be playing to the masses here. I'm going Jimmy Broadbent. I'm going Jimmy Broadbent. He was one place away from getting through to the final, which as a not a top sim racer and not a professional racing driver, I think is a strong effort. Rene Butler, let's cross to Mr. Nürburgring and see what do you think? Who's your driver of the day, first of all?
I'll go with Kevin Siggy, actually. We saw him on so many action-packed moves every time we started into a race. He was well defending in turn 1. He went around the outside of people. I think he had everything that a good racing driver needs to show off to actually be driver of the day.
Apart from the win. Apart from the win.
Yeah, but if you just give the driver of the day to the winner, what's the point in doing driver of the day?
Yeah, but not the guy that started on pole and didn't win.
Yeah,
each to their own. Each to their own, Rene. He did great as well.
Rene, what did you make of today as a whole? Give us a nice summary of your feelings.
I'm obviously happy that we now have a bit more focus on sim racing, right? I'm part of the sim racing world since more than 15 years by now. With my first TV show, as I said last time, 2004. So we're quite a while in this already, and now we
more
get
than 15 years. You look about 20.
I'm 32, man.
Wow. Wow. Okay, sorry, carry on.
You don't see the grey hair as long as I sit in the right angle, you know? So that works. So it's great to see that sim racing actually picks up some pace. Obviously took us years and years and years working on it to integrate real races as well. You know that the acceptance was a bit lower. I'm happy that in this event, we still give that back to the sim racers, right? We got a sim heat for them. We got a price pool for them as well, just dedicated for the sim racing drivers, because all of this was based on them, right? We created these events due to what people were willing to do on sim racing. Because in the beginning, when we started all of this, there was no prize money. There were no studios. I paid for my field to actually go to any show that was out there to commentate. You know that as well, Jack. You started in sim racing to comment on this. So everyone put in a lot of effort to make sim racing happen. So it's great that we can finally pay back a bit to that, to the sim racing community, even though we're obviously pulling in real racing drivers because that's what people want to see, right? It's entertainment. And they should be part of this world by now because they got a lot of time on their hands, unfortunately, due to what happened on the world. So it's great to now be able to merge this and to see both worlds coming together, making sure that we all integrate them in the right way and just enjoying what we all want to enjoy, and that's actually motorsport.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Rene. Couldn't agree more. We can now hear from some more of our drivers. I think we've got Stoffel Vandoorne and Dani Juncadella waiting to speak to us, and Philip Eng's in there as well. So let's start with the highest finisher, I suppose, Dani Juncadella. Dani, you've a fourth place finish was very impressive.
What's up, guys? Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I think this kind of events, especially in the situation right now around the world, it's great for us. And I had a lot of fun with Felix racing against him. And I kept it calm. And then in the end, I decided to attack. And it worked out.
How much was there a determination to beat him to be the top pro driver in the race?
Well, of course, I was thinking about it. I saw that basically from the pro drivers, there was me and him in the front at that time. And of course, we were catching P3, and I think Felix would have had maybe his chance in the last lap, maybe. But I had to go 2 laps to go. I made a small mistake, and then I had another run into the last lap. And yeah, I mean, very, very cool, actually. And we're both sweating like crazy. He just sent me a picture of his seat position and everything. He's just full wet, so you can see we are really trying.
Okay, so Rosenqvist on full wets then, by the sounds of it. Thank you very much, Dani. Congratulations, great race. Let's move on to Stoffel Vandoorne. Stoffel, you seem to have a bit of a quiet race in the end.
Yeah, I had a pretty quiet race, to be honest. Yeah, I got a fairly good start, made it around the first couple of corners without too many problems. And then, yeah, there was a fight going on, managed to get past a few people. Then there was a huge gap in front, so I was kind of alone. And then there was, no one really behind me. So it was just about finishing the race. I made a couple of mistakes. I mean, I'm still getting used to all of this handling with the cars and how to get to the end. So I made a couple mistakes and lost a place in the end. So in the end, it was fun. So I really had a lot of fun today, and looking forward to the next one.
You didn't do this race last week in Nürburgring. How much practice did you put in in rFactor 2 to try and get dialed in for this one before we started today?
Well, I just about started yesterday, so I downloaded the game yesterday, and yeah, I did a few laps yesterday to get up to pace. And yeah, you feel with a night of sleep in between, you gain even a little bit of pace, you know, from day to day. So I'm sure if I do a few more laps, that I'll get better.
And Dani Juncadella says he's dripping wet with sweat. Are you? Or are you okay?
No, I'm okay. I'm fit, you know. Like, I don't know what these guys are talking about.
Okay, great. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Stoffel. Hopefully see you again.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
And Philip Eng is joining us as well, the former Porsche Super Cup champion. Philip, talk us through your day.
Yeah, hi guys. Thanks for having me. It was a great event, great fun. I think with the challenging times we're facing at the moment, this is a really cool thing to do for not only for racing drivers, but for the people to watch us race. So thanks for that. I would have liked to have a slightly less entertaining evening. It was pretty intense, but very good fun. I made a couple of mistakes. So really, take my hat off. The pro sim racers, they are just not doing any mistakes, which is very impressive. Then I got the drive-through, my third ever in my career. My first one in the simulator for off tracks. So yeah, my day was over then, but it was super good fun, and I'm happy to be back anytime.
Great. See you next time then, I hope.
Yeah, hope so too.
Great. Thank you very much, Philip, for joining us. Congratulations. Well, congratulations, but, you know, unlucky, I suppose. Jolien, our three drivers. So two of them are dripping with sweat. Stoffel Vandoorne's like, no, I'm fine.
He's chilled, isn't he?
Yeah.
Super chilled. Well, he didn't have the biggest of fights, to be fair.
That's true, yeah.
Juncadella and Rosenqvist were ding-dong for, 3 laps and 17 laps of nose to tail before that. So, but apparently, you know, you were sweating before your qualifyings back in the day. They're sweating at the end of a race. Maybe I did you a bit of discredit earlier.
Thank you very much.
If that's what you were angling for there.
Yeah, my sweat is normal. Regret shouting that on the television. Right. Remember to like and subscribe the YouTube page if you want to be notified of everything that we've got coming up here on the Race's YouTube channel, including future races. And, of course, we've got @WeAreTheRace on Twitter and on Instagram. And just keep across the race for the next time we have the RaceAll-Star Esports Battle. Palmer, your final thoughts from today.
Brilliant day.
Yeah?
What a great day of action. What do we have? 5 races? 4 heats and a final, all of which have plenty of action. Good races across the pros, the young, the old, the sim, everything.
Juan Pablo Montoya.
Yeah, what a shame.
Juan Pablo Montoya. Wouldn't it have been nice to see him in the fight? He was up there and then he just...
I'm excited for the return of Tony Kanaan. If he can do that in a very short space of time, he was right in the mix as well. These old guys, they've still got what it takes in the competitive spirit.
Yeah. Well, thank you to all of our racers, both the sim racers and the pro racers, for coming along today and getting involved. Thank you to everybody here who's put this production on, and thank you most of all for watching. It's been a real pleasure having your company. Thank you for all the YouTube comments, both the positives and there's actually less negatives. There was some negatives last time, but you know, less so this time. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Don't know why I've got so angry about that as we're closing the show. But thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Jolien, for joining me as well. And keep across @WeAreTheRace and the Race's YouTube channel for the next time we do the RaceAll-Star Esports Battle. And we'll see you then.
Welcome to the race.
And the lights are out. Great start then.
The Moto2 champion steps into the team that's dominating the championship.
I'm Scott Mitchell from the race. We're here at Barcelona.
Sebas Montoya is fighting for his career.
There has to be a title assault, and anything less will be a failure.
Oh, and a spin!
You lost the GoPro!
Introducing UMGgaming.com. UMG is an online tournament platform who offers free-to-play ladders, prize tournaments, cash-out matches, community events, and more. UMG Gaming brings you into the action with all your favorite titles, such as Fortnite, Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, Counter-Strike, and more. Want to experience all that UMG Gaming has to offer? Sign up today and make a free account. Experience the very best in online gaming, only with UMGgaming.com.